Good afternoon and welcome to the Thursday, May 9th meeting of the Metropolitan Area Planning Commission. And we will start with public announcements.
Before we begin the agenda, the Wichita-Sedgwick County Metropolitan Area Planning Commission and the Wichita-Sedgwick County Board of Zoning Appeals would like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone to this public hearing. Copies of the agenda for today's meeting, the public hearing procedure, and Planning Department staff reports on all agenda items are available in the lobby of this conference room. The Planning Commission's and the BZA's bylaws limit the applicant on a zoning, subdivision, or variance application and his or her representative to a total of 10 minutes of speaking time at the start of the hearing on that item, plus up to 2 minutes at the conclusion of that hearing. All other persons wishing to speak on agenda items are limited to 3 minutes per person. However, if they feel that it is needed and justified, the chairman may extend these times by up to 2 minutes. All speakers are requested to state his or her name and address for the record when beginning to speak. When you are finished speaking, please write your name, address, and the case number on the sheet provided in the lobby. This will enable staff to notify you if there are any additional proceedings concerning that item. Please note that all written and visual materials you present to the Commission and the Board will be retained by the Secretary as part of the official record. If you are not speaking but you wish to be notified about future proceedings on a particular case, please sign in on that same sheet. The Planning Commission and the Board are interested in hearing the views of all persons who wish to express themselves on the agenda items. However, we ask that all speakers please be as concise as possible and avoid long repetitions of facts or opinions which have already been stated. For your information, the Wichita City Council has adopted a policy for all city zoning items. A copy of this policy is available in the lobby. The City Council relies on a written record of the Planning Commission hearings and does not conduct its own additional public hearings on these items. The decision of the BZA is final. Any appeal of a decision of the BZA is to district court.
Okay, with that, we will move on to agenda item number 1, approval of the prior MAPC meeting minutes from April 18th, 2019.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. McKay, a second by Mr. Hartman. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 12.
Lowell needed to
We
abstain.
have one abstention. 11-0-1. All right, moving on to agenda item number 2, consideration of subdivision committee recommendations. Item 2-1, sub 2018-00009, final plat for Sunset Landing Addition. Is there anybody on the commission that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that would like to hear this case? Yes?
No.
No. We will hear this case. Okay, agenda item number 2-2, sub 2019-00012, one-step final plat, Tyler's Landing, 7th edition. Is there anybody on the commission that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that would like to hear this case? Okay, we will take that item on consent.
Motion to approve 2-2.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Blick and a second by Mr. Klossmeyer. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 12-0. Agenda item number 3, public hearing vacation items. 3-1, VAC 2018-00031, city vacation of West Taft Avenue right-of-way west of South Country View Lane and adjacent 30-foot building setback. Is there anybody on the commission that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we will take that item on consent. Agenda item number 32, VAC 2019-00005, city vacation, a front yard setback to allow for in-ground pool on property zone SF5. Is there anybody on the commission that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that would like to hear this case? We'll take that item on consent. Agenda item number 33, VAC 2019-00006, city vacation of platted front setback for building addition. Is there anybody on the commission that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we will take that item on consent. Item number 34, VAC 2019-00008, city vacation of a portion of street right-of-way of North Meridian Drive and West 41st Street North for the relocation and reconstruction of the roadway at a new location. Is there anybody on the commission that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we will take that item on consent.
Motion to approve 31, 05, 06, and 08.
Second.
I have motion by Mr. Blick, second by, is that Mr. Dool? I don't know, I can't tell your name tags turned around. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 12-0. Thank you, Mr. Dool.
Made me and Dawn do the same thing.
Welcome, Mr. Green. Okay, moving on to public hearing items. We will hear agenda item number 4, which is the Wichita Places for People Plan. And item number 5, case number CON 2019-00009, city conditional use for an accessory apartment or parcel already divided into lots. Is there anybody on the commission that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we will take that item on consent. Item number 6, case number CON 2019-00010, city conditional use to allow wreckage salvage use on LI zoned property. Is there anybody on the commission that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that would like to hear this case? Okay, we will take that item on consent. Agenda item number 7, case number CUP 2019-00012, city minor amendment to Reed Commercial CUP DP 222 to allow an indoor doggy daycare and boarding facility for up to 150 animals. Is there anybody, Mr. Foster? We will hear this case. Agenda item number 8, case number CUP 2019-00013, oh, that's deferred. Sorry. I just get to reading. All right, case number 9. Agenda item number 9, case number PUD 2019-00005, city zone change from LC to PUD to allow mixed-use development and address parking issues on property. Is there anybody on the commission that would like to hear this case? Mr. Foster, we will hear this case. Agenda item number 10, case number ZON 2019-00003, city zone change from SF5 to LC to amendment to PO number 309 to adjust sign regulations on property. Is there anybody on the commission that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that would like to hear this case? We will take that item on consent. Agenda item 11, case number CON 2019-00010, city zone change from neighborhood retail to limited commercial and an amendment of protective overlay 306 for animal care limited. Is there anybody on the commission that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that would like to hear this case? Yes, we will hear this case. Item number 12, case number ZON 2019-00012, city zone change from SF residential to multifamily on 1.4 acres. Is there anybody on the commission that would like to hear this case? We will hear that case.
Motion to approve 5, 6, and 10.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Blick to approve, a second by Mr. Green. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 13-0. 0. All right. And we will go back to agenda item number 2.2.
One.
I'm sorry, 2.1. Excuse me. Thank you for keeping in mind, Mr. Gould.
Agenda, Neil Straw Planning Staff. Agenda 2-1 is the Sunset Landing Edition. This property is located in the county. It's on the west side of 183rd, north of 21st North. It encompasses 25 acres. Zoning is RR Rural Residential. The plat denotes a cul-de-sac serving 9 lots. The property to the west, Country Terrace Edition, right here. That was platted in 2001. It was required to have a contingent dedication extending to the east at this location. That was due to the length of the street, in addition to the fact that subdivisions adjoining unplatted tracts are supposed to provide for future access. So again, it was platted with that contingent right of way. When the preliminary plat of our subject plat was reviewed, which was last year, the cul-de-sac was requested to have a connection to the west to meet that, to connect with the contingent right-of-way in the Country Terrace Edition. That's 70-foot contingent dedication. Here's a blow-up right here. It includes the south 35 feet of Lot 10, the north 35 feet of Lot 11. Both of those residents spoke at that meeting objecting to the connection, saying they did not want to have to dedicate land for a street connection that ran alongside their property. The applicant for the plat also objected to the connection. They did not want the responsibility of the added street connection. The responsibility of the cost of the street connection, I should say. So at that time, again, this is last year's meeting, the subdivision committee unanimously approved the plat with the street connection, which is in accordance with our subdivision regulations. The final plat review was 2 weeks ago, and at that meeting, the applicant proposed the cul-de-sac as originally shown and no street connection. They said that the extra road construction would result in a 40% increase in cost, not to mention the additional costs for crossing the pipeline. The applicant requested the subdivision committee reconsider the road extension in light of this information. We had neighbors speaking both for and against the street connection. We had county fire speaking. They said there was nothing in the fire code to require the street connection. County Public Works stated at that time they were not dead set on the connection and would be fine abiding by the decision of the subdivision committee. So the subdivision committee 2 weeks ago voted 5-1 in favor of the plat as proposed with the cul-de-sac and no street connection. Questions for staff?
Questions from the commission? Mr. Florence.
When everybody bought their property, they knew that that dedication was there. Am I right?
You're talking about the original, the plat to the west.
Yes.
Yes, when that property was platted, at that time, that contingent dedication was made, and that was recorded. The owner should have known the dedications were there, yes.
Questions from the commission? Okay, thank you. If agent or applicant would like to step forward to present, you'll have 10 minutes. Oh, don't forget to state your name and address, please.
Phil Meyer with Boffman Company, agent for the applicant, 315 Ellis is our address. With me here today is the developer Vision Homes. I don't have a lot to add to what Neil presented. He covered it well. We'll be glad to come back and answer any additional questions if there are some after any opposition speaks. The only one thing I would point out that wasn't mentioned, all the homeowners in Country Terrace Edition had at one time signed a statement saying they did not want the road connection. So there was unanimous, thank you, I'll get it out there, unanimous support from the neighborhood to not have the road go through there. So I want to point that out to you. The owner of Lot 10 was at the subdivision committee for the final plat. Both 10 and 11 were at the preliminary plat hearing. The owner of 10 was at the final plat hearing and spoke in opposition of it. So with that, I'll answer any questions you may have.
All right, questions from the commission? All right, thank you. Is there anybody from the audience that would like to speak on this case? If you'll step forward, state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Jan Strunk. My address is 18400 West 29th Street North. I own the property that's catty corner, would be to the northeast of where this proposed subdivision is. I met with Scott from the, Scott, let me get his name.
Send it back.
Lindbach. I met with him on the 23rd because what they're talking about doing is they're going to build a retention pond, and what he was going to do is he's going to clean out the ditch from where that drainage pipe dumps into the ditch. They're going to clean that out to the south. Okay? Now, the concern I have is they're not going to do any more maintenance on the frontage of that subdivision. Okay, we've got a real problem with it. I brought some pictures here, and I'd like to give them to the secretary. But here's a good picture of the northeast corner where the water comes out of the property. I was under the impression that Scott was going to clean out the whole ditch, and he's not. That wasn't the plan. And as you can see here, it's eroding the road. This was taken Monday after we had about an inch, I think an inch and a half of rain. So a couple issues there. There is no decent structure, concrete structures that you would normally have to allow the water to go in the ditch, and there is no ditch. And then I've got some other pictures here. As you can see, basically there is no ditch along that whole frontage. So the water has no place to go other than down the road. As you can see here, there is no ditch. It's basically the water runs right down the road. Okay, and then as it goes down to the north, what it does is it cuts across the road and does something like this, washes out the road. And, I guess my complaint here is that, you're making the developer put in 5-foot ditches in the property. Okay, but, I can't get anybody, us homeowners there, to clean the ditch out. I don't know if it's a township or the county, but you're going to have a problem, even with the retention pond. If anybody drives out there, they can see where the side of the road from all the erosion is just washed it out. So, you know, that's my main complaint is, we're talking about, we've got there's 9 homeowners that live there now, talking about doubling it, and you don't want to, nobody seems to care about the road or the ditches, other than where the water comes out of the retention pond, they're going to clean it out to the south. I mean, I think the whole frontage should be cleaned out, so we can get rid of the erosion. So anyway, can I give these to the secretary then, the pictures?
That'll be fine, but if you'll remain at the podium just a moment so I can make sure the commission has no questions. Mr. Foster.
I want to make sure I understand, so that if the entire frontage, and that is on the west side of the roadway, got addressed, that's specifically what you're talking about.
Yeah, there is no ditch there now. So the water runs down the road. Yeah, I mean, it's been, I've lived out there forever. It's been a problem, and this is only going to make it worse. You want to increase the traffic, and you don't want to do anything with the road.
Other questions from the commission? Okay, thank you.
All righty.
Is there anybody else from the audience that would like to speak on this case? Sir, if you'll step forward to the podium and state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
My name's Leroy Kiter, 2761 North, 183rd West. We are just on the north side of this addition. The property is. Now, when they do this addition, they want to eliminate the terraces. The terraces were there to move water in the correct manner. Now, due to poor farming conditions over the years there, the terraces aren't as good as they should be. But they want to trim the terraces, and they want to push that water, and they want to push that water north onto our property, which is not right. Now, if they want to put a ditch on the very north side of their property, channel to move it to the 183rd, that's fine. Then we go back to what Jan said before, 183rd all the way will not take the water going north because the ditches are full of sand. There is no ditch in there. The township doesn't want to attack the ditch because they say there's a cable buried underneath that they don't know how deep it is, and they're afraid they're going to hit this cable, fiber optic cable, and it's going to cost them a lot of money. Well, so in return, the water's all just going to wash across the road. It's going to be nothing but washboards and everything else. Now, unless the county wants to pave the road, that would take care of the sand, build it up a little bit higher, and that would take care of a lot of problems. But yeah, we are going to have increased cars going by there and everything else. The road, as far as being connected to the west, as far as I am concerned, would have been great because it would have added 2 ditches on the side of that extension going to that west addition, which would take water from the top side of this Sunset Addition and move it west to the proper channel that takes the water off to the northeast instead of putting it over on the property on the north. That's it, I guess.
Thank you. Questions from the commission? Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else from the audience that would like to speak on this case? Okay, if not, we will ask agent or applicant to come up for a 2-minute rebuttal.
Our drainage plan as submitted to the Sedgwick County has been approved. So our drainage plan's been reviewed and approved by the county. We do have a detention facility at this location. We've agreed to work with the county on making sure that when this detention pond releases, we're going to clean out, the ditch is going to get cleaned out that goes down here 700-800 feet to a culvert that goes under the road. We've reduced some of the drainage that goes to the northeast corner and taken it to this location. I think the main point I want to stress is our drainage plan has been approved. And so we've looked at and resolved that with the county. I personally don't think the road connection to the west would change the drainage situation at all. My personal opinion, but I don't think either of the neighbors were really complaining about the street connection. It was mainly drainage is what I heard. With that, I'll answer any questions you may have.
Question, yes, Mr. McKay.
Phil, do you agree with the results and recommendation of the subdivision, last subdivision meeting?
Yes, we're in support of the, as approved by subdivision committee.
Mr. Daly, let me get Mr. Green and I'll come right back to you, okay?
So, Phil, when you say that you've got your drainage plan approved by the county, would that be Mr. Lindeback, that the previous
Yes.
speaker?
Yeah,
had
Scott
been referring
Lindeback,
to?
drainage engineer for Sedgwick County, has approved the drainage plan for this plat.
Okay, and the conversations that you have had with him, again, for, just so that they understand what the expectation is of, on the developer's part, and what the expectations are from, with regards to the county and, or the township.
Township's not gonna do anything.
Right.
My personal opinion, township's not gonna do anything out there. The county has agreed that when we come in and do our improvements with the road, they're gonna work with us and get this ditch cleaned out to the south, which will help alleviate some of the present problems that are there. I'm not saying we're gonna solve the present problems. I'm saying that we're gonna alleviate and make sure this subdivision doesn't add anything to any problems.
Thank you.
Mr. Daly?
So your drainage plan then keeps drainage from going to the north?
We still have a little bit of drainage that goes to the northeast. We're reducing the amount of drainage that goes to the northeast, but there is still some that goes that direction.
Oh, okay, it'll be
But
reduced
we are
and not
reducing the amount of water that goes.
increased. Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Other questions from the commission? Okay, thank you.
I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion, we approve the findings of the subdivision committee of the last meeting where the change from the original one, whatever, that, I don't know what the date is. I'd give you the date, but I don't remember, don't know the date.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. McKay to approve, a second by Mr. Klossmeyer. Discussion. Mr. Foster.
I'll offer a substitute motion. One of the benefits of going through this subdivision process is to take a holistic look when you're platting things. And one of the things that came out of that process is additional right-of-way. Well, the purpose for additional right-of-way is to take a look at drainage and understand how that relates to a roadway. Therefore, my suggestion or substitute motion would be to, as Mr. McKay stated relative to the subdivision committee recommendations, but also add in there that the drainage plan be looked at so that the roadway itself is protected relative to drainage. So that would be my addition to the motion there.
Mr. Klossmeyer.
I think there's already a problem there, so I'm not sure what, that existing problem, whether this area is there or not. And as a matter of fact, I think this might help alleviate some of the problems with the drainage plan that we have here. So I'm not sure that exactly what are you asking for some action or just oversight or something?
I think it's just a matter of looking at the drainage plan itself to make sure that it protects the roadway, because
Point of order. Before we go on to discussion on that, we need to see if there's a second to the motion, to the substitute motion.
Yeah, I was going to say I didn't see a second, so that substitute motion would die for lack of a second, I believe.
my point is, why would you get the additional right-of-way if you're not going to deal with something that's right in front of you, which is a drainage problem, which is the county has a responsibility to take care of these roadways. So why not step up, fix it all at once, and proceed forward to solve a problem for all those involved? It's as simple as that.
Dale, you have a comment?
And Phil can correct me if I'm wrong, or Neil, but this is a township road, is my understanding. Is that correct? So it's the township's responsibility to maintain the road and the drainage. And as I understand it, the county is stepping in to try and fix the situation because of this specific plat, but it's a township road, and it's the township's responsibility.
I think it's also up to the applicant as well to step up and address that. Why would they want to leave a problem like the photographs that we've seen? It should behoove their project to address this problem and fix up the right-of-way and make it more aesthetic for people wanting to buy there. It's as simple as that.
Mr. Bill Johnson, you have a comment?
Commented, I felt like it was a township road rather than a county.
A couple issues here. One, Neil, could you put back up the plat to the west, which is really what this discussion is about? And you can see, point out where that extra right-of-way is on both of those, if you would, Neil, the small scale and the large scale with the mouse there.
Contingent right away you're talking about now?
Yes.
Okay, the contingent dedication is right here between lots 10 and 11, right
Okay.
here.
And on the other plat, show them where it is up at the top of that cul-de-sac. And the reason that was put in there was that's a half-mile-long cul-de-sac. And that was done, Neil, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Do you remember?
Yeah, 2001 is when that plat was recorded.
Okay, so we're at 18 years ago when this was recorded. And again, for the edification of the rest of the members of the commission here, I think the reason the subdivision committee, of which I'm a member, changed their mind on this was we understand why these connections need to be made, but I think we have some real concerns about why does the last guy in 18 years later have to pay for it? And there's no mechanism right now to have the original party that platted this subdivision participate in that cost. So we're putting all that burden on the new plat. And I think what we've thought about doing is coming to this body with a recommendation to have that looked at and study that more carefully. We find this problem in the city, but more so in the county where you have these long, large lots and these long hookups. It seems a little unreasonable that the last guy in with a quarter-mile cul-de-sac as opposed to the first guy with a half a mile gets to pay for all the costs. So I think, in my case at least, that's why I voted to change my vote. And the other comment is most of the comments we've had about this plat have been from neighbors with regards to drainage. The drainage plan has been approved. It's a township road, and we've heard oftentimes now at the subdivision committee when we have these plats in the rural areas, they're on township roads. And as these areas develop, it starts to overwhelm the townships with the amount of money and the resources and the expertise that they have to take that over. We had county engineering talk to us about that, but they're reluctant to take over any more of these roads than they have to. And I think right now, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I think until they pave it, they don't take it over. The county doesn't take it over. But that's not something we can fix with this plat. So that's just some of the background. So you may see this issue again about who pays for these connections.
Other comments? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
What are we saying in favor to what? The original motion?
This is on the original motion. The substitute motion died. This is on the original motion. The substitute motion died for lack of a second. So, everybody, would you like me to call for that vote again?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I didn't vote first time.
I'm sorry.
Didn't know what I was voting on.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay, so motion, you're abstaining. So, no,
I didn't hear the presentation.
No,
Who
it-
won?
is it 10-1?
Joe's abstaining.
1-2-1.
I think it's 14.
There's
14.
14.
There's 14 here.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay.
that would be, yeah. You got it?
At 2 again.
I need an adding machine or a
11,
calculator
2,
over there.
11 to 2. Need more fingers. Need more
It's
fingers.
over 10, so shit.
It's actually 11-1.
One abstention then.
Yeah. Shoe off and use your toe.
Ayes.
So it was, oh, you guys are
Started it.
11 to
11, 2.
Call this room to order. Okay, we're gonna move on to agenda item number 4. Case number DER 2018-00003. And Mary's gonna come up and talk to us about places for people. It's already up there.
Well, good afternoon, Madam Chair and Commissioners. I'm Mary Hunt with the Planning Department. Wichita Places for People is a comprehensive plan, or what we call the Community Investment Plan. It's an amendment, and so it is derived from that plan. That plan was adopted in 2015 and 16. And so the comp plan and all of its amendments, as they come along, are long-range planning documents focusing on the values and priorities of our community and for the, about the future development of our city. Plans like this provide guidance to bodies like the Planning Commission as well as the governing bodies in making decisions on changes to land use and transportation system, among others. So Wichita Places for People is one of these amendments, and it's intended to guide decision-making and reaches out for at least about 20 years. So why are we doing this? Well, of course, it all starts with that community investment plan that was adopted just a few years ago. The plan guides spending decisions on infrastructure. We know we're in a state of diminishing revenues and fiscal constraints, so we need to address that. And the urban infill strategy is one of those future land use policies, and that strategy is what created Places for People. So the guiding principles of our comprehensive plan is to promote infill development, focusing on our established neighborhoods, devising ways to deliver services more efficiently and effectively, taking care of what we already have, and producing amenities that can attract and retain the talent that we need to have a prosperous city. And of course, it also addresses balancing growth between our new areas and our old areas. So again, the urban infill strategy created Places for People, and the vision was diverse neighborhoods and affordable housing choices. Values, again, that were reiterated in this are take care of what we have. We want to develop some practical regulations and allow us to take pride in the quality of our neighborhoods. So the purpose of Places for People specifically is to put people first, connect neighborhoods to commercial centers, transportation options for everyone, having active centers, or what we call in this plan nodes, making value-added decisions, taking advantage of all that existing infrastructure, and having more choices for everyone. So here's the established central area. This is the area that was identified in Places for People and the original community investment plan. It's about a 3-mile radius from downtown. Its boundaries are 29th Street on the north, 31st Street on the south. We've got Ridge Road on the west, Rock Road on the east. And that kind of yellow area in the middle is actually just showing us the area of Wichita that was developed prior to World War II. So just some quick facts. I know some of you have seen this, but for those that this is new, the ECA, or the Established Central Area, which is our study area for Places for People, takes up about 38% of Wichita. It has slightly more than half of our residents, and with that, slightly more than half of all our households. It still holds 2/3 of all the jobs in our city, and it has slightly less than half of all the retail sales. So a big part of putting this plan together was community input, community involvement. And these were the concerns that people listed when we got going on this plan. And they were abandoned homes and buildings, fast-moving traffic, the dumping on empty lots, needing more sidewalks, or in some cases, I'm sure it was needing repaired sidewalks, not enough green space, and having our old neighborhoods and our historic neighborhoods ignored. So we conducted, along with public meetings where people came to meet with us and we could talk, face to face, we also conducted a visual preference survey online. And we had over 300 responses, and that's really very good for something like that. That survey was up for maybe a month. And they rated streets and sidewalks, and then they also rated residential and commercial buildings. And a typical question was, on the streets, how do you feel crossing a street, da-da-da, and they give you an example. Or they'd ask you, is this type of building appropriate for the ECA? So I'm just going to show you a couple of them. This is, how do you feel walking along a street on a sidewalk without a buffer? And this one ranked a little bit between uncomfortable and neutral. This was actually the lowest ranking photo they looked at. I should say lowest rated. Okay, and then here's another one. How do you feel walking along a street with a sidewalk with street cafes? That one ranked very, very high. So there were a total of 32 questions, and they were done in this similar fashion. Everything to do with streets had this, this rating system. And then buildings, this is residential buildings. Is this type of housing appropriate for development in the established central area? It didn't say, is this a pretty house? Do you like this? Would you like to live here? But is it appropriate for this part of town? This one, which does have more of a little bit of a suburban flavor, was the lowest rated photo, with 59% saying it was all right. And then here, is this housing type appropriate for the established central area? And that rated very, very high. And then we went to some commercial. Is this type of commercial building? And this still rated at 80%, even though it was the lowest rated building. And then you have a building like this that rated very high. So just giving you an example of the kind of ways we tried to reach out to people. So urban design-wise, we've come up with what we call this nodal development pattern. And one of those types of nodes is the neighborhood hub. And what we have here is we have this basically an intersection on a small scale where we've got a hub of activity in the middle, and then a little less activity as you go beyond that center, and then it just relaxes out into the neighborhoods. And the idea here with these little blue icons is that you've got bicyclists, you've got pedestrians, you've got people using the bus, you've got street amenities, and you've even got a little plaza there in front of that building on the left. So here's that same place, looking into that building with a little plaza area out front, just a relaxing place. Go out there, have your lunch if you're working in the area. And this is a very small scaled node. And the other nodes are either small, medium, large. The concept is exactly the same, it's just a matter of scale. So here's the components within a node. You got streets, sidewalks, buildings and frontages, and open space. And here you have your building on the far left. You got a little frontage zone. A frontage zone is basically the welcome mat to a building or a house. Then you have the pedestrian zone, and obviously if you're in a neighborhood, just a neighborhood, that pedestrian zone is going to be a little bit narrower. In a commercial zone, it might be a little bit bigger, but you've got an amenity zone to buffer from the traffic. And that's where you're going to have street lights and park benches and things like that make it a pleasant experience. Then you have your curb zone leading out to the street. So here are just some examples from the plan on streets and sidewalks. The idea is that it's going to accommodate all the users possible. It's going to have some visual interest, and it's really inviting people to stay. And that's important to commercial development, especially retail businesses, is that somebody comes down to shop for something, but then because it's such a nice place to stay, they stay for other things. And this shows some examples of doing some wayfinding there on the lower left. We got our Old Town there up on the middle top, and then they had this very nice picture here on the bottom, this one in the center where they've actually split the bicyclist from the pedestrian. And you can do that if you have enough space, but they've landscaped it between that. Anyway, buildings and frontages. On top, we have some residential uses. You can see those homes are not pulled right up to the sidewalk. They've got a bit of a front yard, but everything is relating to the street. Nowhere here do you actually see lots and lots of parking or lots of parking lots. That's not the first thing you see. The first thing you see is a building. So up here on the upper right is an example of an accessory dwelling unit built on top of a garage. On the lower left, we've got commercial on the first floor with some apartments upstairs. And then this picture on the lower right that's a favorite is just a two-story mixed use. And so we have various examples of open space for all kinds of users, whether it's children playing in a playground serving just one small neighborhood, or if it's a vast amount of green space serving many neighborhoods. So what's next? If we get this plan approved, we need tools to make all of this happen. So what we need to do next is then examine the current zoning code and in many cases just remove the obstacles that are in there already. Explore creating a land bank, but we need to customize it for our needs. We don't want to just pull something off a shelf from another city and say, okay, this is good enough for us, but really examine it closely and customize it just for what we need. And then, of course, we want to take advantage of all those existing investment tools that we already have. Things like business improvement districts, community improvement districts, and all kinds of ways of handling taxes for people as incentives to build in this area. So with that, I will take some questions. I did want to remind you that we've got a couple things coming up here. On the 23rd of May, we will have a panel discussion over at WABA. So we're continuing our outreach, basically. We're going to have a city council workshop right at the end of the month on the 28th. Then we'll go to the city council on the 4th and ask them to vote on this. And then the next week, we'll go to the Board of County Commissioners and give them a briefing on all of this. And then hopefully they'll vote on this by June 19th. So any questions from anyone?
Mr. Daly.
You talk about boundaries. Does that take in both sides of the street, like Rock Road and Ridge Road, 29th and 31st South?
It certainly could.
Well, that
I-
needs to be distinguished so people know that it's both sides of that street and not just one side and the other side is ignored then.
Right.
So,
It's good to point that out because the nodal development pattern says it's going to be both sides of the street each way. So you're right.
and were the pictures, were they illustrations or were they actual photographs that existed someplace that is prospering?
Well, there were a couple renderings in there that are not in existence today because they took an intersection here in Wichita and did a rendering of how something could be redeveloped in this fashion. But the photographs were either from here or someplace else. I mean, that nice picture with the wayfinding, that big, yeah, that's Tulsa.
That kind of thing. So, and on the land bank, that's to be looked at and customized to what Wichita needs.
That's right.
And not just what's been written from other sources.
Right.
So, because there's some things in that I have questions about. And then lastly, oh, dang it, now I forgot what I was going to say. I'll think of it later.
All right, other
hopefully.
questions from the commission? Mr. McKay.
In response to where you put the line at, or the city, or my opinion is it should be the center of the street, because if you go to the curb on the other side, the right-of-way goes actually sometimes up to the sidewalk, which is almost in the front yard of the people. And so, you know, at least the center of the street, you have a designated area that from here that direction. How do you, I can see what John's talking about. One side's okay and the other side's not, but it'd make it, to me, it'd make it even worse if you go clear over to the property line on the east side and the guys, they're shut completely off. And all you're doing is extending right away. That's all you're doing.
No, that wasn't what, it was the property on the other side of the street, the whole property, not just the right-of-way that we should think about. Is it go clear to their property line back, or not even include them at all? It needs to be made clear to the property owner so they know. And I thought of the other thing, why does the county commission have to pass it when this is all inside the city?
That's a great question. We've, because the original community investment plan, our comprehensive plan, is adopted by both county and city. So,
They have to amend it then? Okay,
Yes.
I see that. Thank
Okay,
you.
Mr. Knable can answer your prior question.
I think the issue of whether the established central area includes the properties on either side of the street, I don't think is a relevant discussion. This is a policy statement. We will get into the discussion about the zoning application and which specific properties it should apply to in the future. I think going forward, that is a point well taken, that we'll have to address which properties have different zoning rules than others, but from a policy standpoint, the line is intended to be general.
All right, other questions from the commission? All right, thank you, Mary.
Bet.
Okay, this is the time that we can have public comment on this agenda item. Is there anybody from the audience that would like to speak on this? Okay, if you will step forward and state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hello, I'm Alan Kaler. My address is 7924 West Birdie Lane Circle, Ridge and 21st. I'm here speaking on my own behalf and on behalf of Bike Walk Wichita. I'm the president of Bike Walk Wichita. You may think it's a bit curious why bike and pedestrian advocates are speaking on behalf of a broader plan like this, but really we're involved in Bike Walk Wichita because we are interested in making Wichita a better place to live and interested in its quality of life. And a number of our members have been involved in all of the public meetings and presentations throughout the conduct of this project and have been very supportive of it all along. As I'm sure you're aware, there have been a number of studies and reports and consultants in the last few years that have weighed in on how to make Wichita more economically vibrant, how to improve the quality of life. And every one of those studies and reports and consultants has concluded that we need to focus on our central area and that we need to adopt some of the policies like those that are included in this Places for People proposal. So we're very much in favor of it. We think that it will enable the improvement of the quality of life in Wichita, will enable it to become more economically vibrant, and are strongly supportive of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from the commission?
Yes.
Mr. Daly?
Did you ride your bike or walk to this meeting?
Today I had to drive because it was raining when I was coming down here, and I really don't like riding in the rain, especially 44-degree rain. So.
That's my point. Wait, I'm not sure. What
Normally I have ridden to these
of
meetings.
the year, what percent of the year can you really, in Kansas, ride your bike?
I ride my bike all year long, pretty much. I rode all through the winter.
I don't think a lot of people do that.
We need to get more of them doing that.
Why?
Because it is much less expensive for the city to enable transportation through biking and walking. It has a lot less infrastructure requirements than driving, both in the transportation and in the parking. and it's a lot healthier for everyone, both the people that are riding and the people that aren't, that don't have the pollution from the cars.
A lot of those not what we're assigned to do. Okay.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else on the audience that would like to speak on this? If you'll step forward, state your name and address, and again, you'll have 3 minutes.
I'll just take one.
Okay.
My name is Jane Burns. I live at 322 South Lorraine. I'm a registered licensed dietitian, and my first perspective is always health. Secondarily, it's recreation, but I want to point out the economic value of the folks enjoying that walkability. In the central established area, folks can walk most of the year. They put on coats or raincoats some other times. They put on rain gear. They protect themselves, but walking is healthy. Even walking from a parking lot is healthy. When we regard transportation in a transportation silo and health in another silo of funding, we're losing perspective. We need the economic development in this picture, and we need healthier citizens. Thank you so much. Are there any questions?
Questions on the commission? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else that would like to speak on this? If you'll step forward, state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
I am Byron Adrian, Mennonite Housing President, and I want to express my support for this plan. I am in agreement with the focus, as stated in this plan, to bring different types of projects together, and that makes neighborhoods, businesses, and amenities able to be easier to get to and to be more walkable. So I support that movement that's stated in this plan. I'm also in agreement with the recommendation that's included in the plan for creation of a land bank. I've seen land banks work very well for development activity in other cities, and I know at Mennonite Housing, when we're involved with developments, it's often the land acquisition that tends to be the toughest part of that project. So I'm very much in favor of looking into the creation of a land bank here in the city and the county. So again, I do support this plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions on the commission? All right, thank you very much. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak on this? Ms. Fox, if you'll step forward to the podium and state your name and address. You have 3 minutes.
Ann Fox, 4949 North 151st Street West, and I'm going to talk to my township too about the water. Anyway, I am the executive director of Wichita Habitat for Humanity, and I've developed 43 affordable properties in the urban core. I've often been asked by folks at the county and the city, how can we get market rate developers involved in the urban core to take advantage of existing infrastructure? And I believe that the Peoples and Places Plan provides some appropriate incentives that would allow market rate developers to participate with us to take advantage of the infrastructure that's existing and that we don't collect taxes for because of vacant or blighted properties. It's very expensive to work in the inner core, and I can do it because I have crews of volunteers. As Byron mentioned, and I would repeat, land acquisition is hugely difficult and expensive because you're usually acquiring one property at a time, and land bank appropriately managed by representatives of the community, we believe could really make it possible for others to participate in improving the urban core. I'm old enough, I remember the 20 years it took for us to get the downtown area really on a roll, and I'm so excited if we could see the residential parts of our community surrounding that wonderful downtown to be equally as vibrant. There's a lot of opportunity through the parallel zoning codes that are provided here that would speed the ability for some unique aspects to be put into a community so that it would be walkable and I could live and ride my bike to get my hair done and get my morning coffee and visit the bookstore or my local little free library. Those are the kinds of things that make neighborhoods exciting and where people get to know each other and communicate and interact. So we are very supportive of this plan and believe it provides some of the good incentives that would allow others to join us in improving our urban core and making a better community in the downtown urban part of our Wichita. Any questions?
Questions from the commission?
And did I say land bank? Please a land bank, please a land bank. Did I say that? Thank you.
Thank you. Galen, you're up next. If you'll state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Okay, I'm Wes Gallion with I'm president of the Builders Association, and it's at 730 North Main. I was chairperson of the Urban Infill Advisory Committee that worked on with staff and a consultant hired to assist in gathering data and developing recommended policies and things that we ought to look at to try to put something together that was real meaningful. I totally support and urge your consideration of everything that's been mentioned, such as the land bank, the parallel zoning code, all those things. One of the things that I think did come out of this, and we've not been involved in every study that's been done, but we're so often been involved or know about a study that's been done, but it isn't coupled with other things that need to be addressed to come up with a comprehensive recommendation as to how things can be made better and steps you need to take to do that, incentives that you need to offer, and so on. I think the people that came together here on the committee, and there was around 30 of them, came to those meetings in earnest. Not to say that there was agreement on everything, but by and large, there was common ground found early, and I think people were serious about making suggestions, all for the betterment of their communities, protection of their private property rights, and for the betterment of Wichita as a whole. Keep in mind, this is primarily focused on the established central area, but I think there will be some things, developed tools that come out of this area that can be utilized beyond the established central area for the good of the community as a whole, even when you go out to the urban fringes. So I want to thank everyone that was involved in this. I think it needs to be moved forward as quickly as possible. I know there's already discussion taking place about a land bank and using it in a strategic fashion, as Adrian mentioned, and other things. The consideration for parallel zoning code is being worked on already. And for the first time in many years, I've had people call me that are in the industry and say, you know, that looks like that might work this time. Who can we talk to? Where can we find out more information and that sort of thing? And I think this is the first time in a long time that we've seen the public and private sectors and a group of people with very diverse backgrounds come together and look toward and find common ground and look toward the future in relation to what can be accomplished. How do we maintain the focus? How do we support it with incentives and tools and that sort of thing? How do we eliminate regulations and make things more flexible and what have you? And I think if we can keep that focus long-term and work toward that, and if there's people elected that have the political will to see this work, I think we can do some amazing things in the established central area, and hopefully it'll benefit the city as a whole. So thank some of you on this committee and the staff for the work you did, and the staff that's not here today from other departments. And I want to thank Gould and Evans, who was a consulting firm that was hired to help. They did a superb job, I think, from a very practical perspective.
Questions from the commission? All right, thank you very much. Anybody else like to speak on this case? All right, we'll bring it back to the commission for action.
Will we approve the Wichita Places for People plan?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to approve by Mr. Hartman, a second by Mr. Florence. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 7, case number CUP 2019-00012, and we have Kathy, thank you so much for presenting today for us.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, commissioners. CUP 2019-12 is a minor amendment to the Reed Community Unit Plan. As you can see on the map here, it's at the southeast corner of 127th Street and East 21st Street North. This is a request for a use of a doggy daycare, an indoor doggy daycare. There will not be outdoor kennels, that type thing. Everything will happen inside. There are play areas, and you should have received in your packet a copy of the site plan that indicates where those play areas are located. One of the things, this is the same company that presented the doggy daycare on West Central Street at 5500 West Central Street. So you will have noticed that a lot of the times, operation times, some of the conditions in the report were the same regarding noise and how waste is taken care of, that type of thing. One of the other items that I would like to point out is the applicant has said that they would have up to 150 animals. In conversation with the applicant, that is a very high-end number. They do not anticipate having that many animals on site, but they needed the numbers so that they used that to generate their parking spaces that they've put in the plan. There are 5 conditions in your staff report. One is that this applies only to parcel 8. It doesn't change anything else within the community unit plan. The play areas will be fenced with 8-foot vinyl fences, exactly like what was done at the West Central location. That should reduce noise and whatever, and they will have employees out with the animals when they're out for 30 minutes or whatever to get some exercise and that type of thing. They will not be left out there unattended. So staff is recommending, with the conditions that we've established here, that the doggy daycare, the amendment to CUP DP 222 be approved. And I'll answer any questions.
Hey, questions for Kathy?
Yeah.
Mr. Daly?
You said it was an inside, that's just where their personal little cages are, and there's outside, so it isn't all inside, it's some outside too.
Right, the animals are taken out several times a day and allowed to be out between, I think it's 7 in the morning and 8 at night. But they're only out there for like 30 minutes at a time or so they aren't outside every hour throughout the day. I mean, so there are indoor play areas, there are indoor kennels, that type of thing. They will have facilities to do grooming. This will not have any kind of veterinary services, that type of thing. So yes, they'll be allowed outside, but they won't be allowed to be out there unattended or for long periods of time.
Is there a maximum number that can be out?
That depends on how many staff people are available during the day, because they have a ratio of animals per staff person that oversee the outdoor playtime. And the applicant is here and he can answer that.
I'll ask then. Thank you.
The other thing that I did want to mention, you should have had on your, at your place, there was a letter submitted regarding this case. And I think I had 2 phone calls about this doggy daycare being located in that location.
At this time of the outdoor, the play yards, what is immediately on the other side of what the fence will be?
That right now is vacant. Okay, so the play areas are up in the northwest corner of parcel 8, and then a piece along the north property line. And that right now is vacant, and you will see that there is setback in there from where the fence could be located. That is 15 feet from the property line is where the fence will be located. Okay.
Other questions from the commission?
Has the DAB board reviewed this?
No, this will be presented to DAB Monday, the 13th.
Other questions from the commission? All right, thank you, Kathy.
Does anybody want to, I'm sorry I didn't show you the pictures of the area. Do you want me to run through that right quick? Okay.
And Mr. Richardson is recusing himself because he lives in this development application area, so just so everybody knows. Okay, so agent or applicant, if you would step forward and if you'll state your name and address, and you'll have 10 minutes.
Hi, I'm Blake Bauer, 530 McCall Road in Manhattan, Kansas. Thank you again for letting me be in front of you. This is our second location that we're looking for here in Wichita. When we really looked at town, a lot like most of you know, there's east side and west side, and so we found this location and are very excited about it here on this other side. And so just a lot of this, this board is obviously seen. I don't know who in the audience is here to see some of it as well. So I'll have a few pictures. I'll try to go through some of these items that you've seen before as the board and be ready for your questions. But who we are, we want to be your pup's home away from home. Okay, so a lot of places that you're going to see and a lot of competitors that might be out there are not as probably, for lack of better words, as high-end as we're wanting to do the place. We're going to build this from the ground up. This facility will be different than the one that we looked at 55 West Central, and the fact that it'll be our design. We are going to build it to the design standards of the Reeds Cove area, so it'll look a lot different than the converted mattress firm that I came with you about here 2 months ago. And we are company owned and operated. I think that's a very big deal. You see a lot of franchisee and dog franchisee type areas coming out right now. Dogtopia, Camp Bow Wow, NVA Pet Resorts. A lot of people are looking to sell like one franchisee, trying to get a mom and pop type situation for that one person to own their own location. And sometimes you get inconsistency in operations from those. As you can see, we're going to be company owned and operated, and we have 5 open locations right now and the 4 sites that are under development. We have the Merriam, which is our first location. Manhattan has been open for 1.5 years. Leawood location we've owned for right at 1 year right now. Topeka opened 1st of February. Lawrence opened the 1st of March. And then the West Wichita location, that is the picture of that mattress firm converted location. That was approved by City Council on April 2nd. That was approved without a vote of opposition. So we're very excited to go through that process on that side as well and be well on our way through plans. And we'll be submitting our permits on that location coming up here 1st of June. Our services, to go over those again, we have day stay, day play, night stay, grooming, and then we also have cat care. We will have cats at this location, unlike when I stood at with you at the other one. The other location was 6,000 square feet. We're looking at right around 10,000 square feet on this one. And so the cats are only just a small room off to the side. It's really for those people that have a dog that might also have a cat that are going on vacation. They're just kept in one of the smaller cages, and there's a room there to help with those owners that do have cats as well. To Mr. Daly, I had the question about boarding. Really, we board the animals inside. They're allowed to go outside and do just like this, with the canine grass and the fencing outside. outside. They'll take rotations into those areas for their day play. They'll also be put up during lunch. A lot of the pups will have some sort of lunch snack that they'll have. They'll rotate in and out of the kennels throughout the day, and then indoor play areas and night and outdoor play areas. Depends a lot on the temperament of the animal, and it depends a lot on the weather. It's going to depend on what if the pup wants to be out there or not. It may be cold and the husky wants to be outside. In the summer, that husky absolutely has no interest to be out there. So we'll be playing with those animals a lot in a way that's comfortable for them. Standards of care. This is something I added since last time to talk about. We do on all pups. We do a behavioral assessment during their first visit. We will invite them in. We call it a meet and greet. We'll make sure that they interact with the pups well, and I think that's a very big deal, because if your pup is not kind to other pups and used to being around other pups, we will kindly ask you not to bring your pup back. We want all the pups to be there and are picky about who we have there, so that way all the guests are treated fairly. Also, the outdoor area we've talked a lot about. It has a privacy fence to prevent the potential of barking, visual, and a physical barrier for anything that was outside. We do have music that plays lightly for a calming effect, and we have staff trained to balance the excitement levels. That's why they're in there at all times, and the animals are never without staff. Sometimes one or two people will be in there depending on the temperament of the animals. Our facilities, the indoor and outdoor play areas, you can see the puppy play equipment right here. You can see the canine grass. This has the snow on it at that time, and then you can also see the secure fencing. On the indoor, you can see epoxy flooring in both of these pictures. And then also, here's a video just kind of showing you the 8-foot tall fence. This is our Leawood facility. There are pups in there at this time. You can't see through there whatsoever. It's not a picket fence. It is a privacy fence, because if they can't see it, they can't bark, and it's all about the temperament and control of the animals. Also, here's pictures of our Topeka outdoor and indoor play areas right after we opened that facility. You can see the rubber flooring we use on the indoor play areas. That's for the dog's comfort. And we have indoor, we divide by temperament. You can see this is a small dog play area, where this was a big dog play area. This was taken at the exact same time, so you can see we divide dogs by temperament and size. And then our facilities, you talked about that earlier, had a question about it. These are the kennels that are used, and different size kennels for different dogs. We also have luxury suites, so your dog can have a specific luxury suite with a TV in it. So you could show your dog whatever it is comfortable with, and a lot of people have pups that they want specific needs for. And these are the picture of the luxury suites and what those look like, and the LVT flooring that's used on the inside for the finish. Here's the lobby and the grooming areas. The reason I'm showing you these pictures, I think it's really important to show you the level of finish that we're going to do, and that's what differentiates ourselves from maybe just a mom and pop that's been in the industry a long time. We hope to invest in the facility. We do a lot of research on what type of finishes to use, so that they'll withstand the pups and the daily maintenance. The facility cleaning has been brought up at the prior location, so I thought it was important to also talk to you about rescue. Rescue is the type of sanitation that we use and the disinfectant that we use. It's hydrogen peroxide based, and it is very safe for animals, which is why we use it on the indoor and outdoor for the cleaning of the facility. I've looked up several things on rescue, sourcing. Henry Animal Health and Research Supply Company talks about basically it kills things within 1 minute. It's a disinfectant cleaner. Just a lot of questions I can come back to if you have them, which we covered in the previous meetings. Solid waste, same as the previous meetings. We're going to collect that solid waste and dispose of it, double bag of it. And then the outdoor play areas everything will be washed through the canine turf and the 12 inches of usually AB3 that it's used to siphon down through. Specific about this location, just wanted to show you real quick. This is the corner of the location where we're going to be at 21st and 127th. We're going to be there. This is how the site plan sits into that lot to kind of give you there is no conjoining structure to it. Fred Hermes is here with me. He's a co-applicant and current owner who we're purchasing the lot from. He owns the lots all around this and is here to help for any approval or questions that you have as well. And then specifically on the site, think just a couple things to point out. We have the fence around the yard. Once again, we're putting the fence toward the back of the lot. That's a little different than the last time you saw this at 55 West Central, where it was more toward the front because of the position of that Mattress Firm building was pushed up against the back lot line. And we have the parking out front, and we have a couple different play yards. We'll divide those up by temperament and time of day and where the sun's shining, time of year. We want to provide a couple different settings for the animals. This is also a picture to kind of show you where, and the only other two pet care competitors that I found on Google anyway, to show you a need. This is all the way from Rock all the way past Andover Road, showing you down south of Kellogg and everything north. A lot of people live in this area, and a lot of people are our customers and guests for every day, and there's only one other or two other facilities even in this area when you search on Google. And so if you search doggy daycare and zoom into these areas, I hope you found the same exact thing I did, but this puts us smack dab in the middle of that area we think is our guest. Finally, here's our website once again, so if you want to click on it, you can see any of our locations. You can look at some of the cameras. You can look right at our cameras right now if you wanted to look into some of our facilities. And just to address the question about the number of animals that you had when you asked that earlier, we did put 150 on there. We had to calculate that for parking is why the number's on there. It's required as part of the parking calculation with employees and guests. We don't foresee that we would have that many, but it absolutely could happen. Mostly our facility, like in Manhattan, it's 8,000 square feet. 80 to 100 dogs is a pretty full day. But we didn't want to get caught in a parking situation, and we also are trying to plan for the future with different needs that the people want for their dogs, and people are spending more on their dogs, and so we're designing this facility for the future as well. Thank you, and I'll answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Questions from the commission? Okay, we'll start with Mr. Blick, and then I'll come over here and
Turn
get
back to your site plan for me.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Warren.
A question I have is, before you said that if dogs stay overnight, they can come and go out the back. Is that true?
No.
No,
I'm sorry if I misread that.
And then the question I have is the play yard. So the play yard is it grass? Have you ever had one escape?
No.
Or dig underneath the fence or
No.
anything like that?
No, on the fence, what we do is there's a footer under that 8-foot vinyl fence. You'll have a footer that can set on, and so then, and there'll be, it's usually around a 2-foot edge around that. So then that final fence sits straight down on top of that, and the concrete's actually poured after the fence is done, so it's all the way up tightly snug against that. And then the canine grass, which is specially made for the animals, is inside that, and so they can't even dig close to that edge.
That's a question I had, because I noticed just to the south, there's a children's school, and their fence is just a wrought iron fence, and so I was just, that's the question I asked. So, thanks.
You bet.
Warren.
We received a letter from one of the businesses, I believe, in the area, and they brought up some concerns. I thought the concerns were probably representative of the things we heard last time, so I'd like you to talk to them. One of them is noise pollution. The second one is increase in rodent activity. Apparently, the idea being that there's going to be dog food around that's going to attract rodents and could create a problem from that standpoint. And the third one is a problem with odor affecting businesses or other people that are near the area. Would you like to address those three areas, that what you do to eliminate or at least control noise, rodents, and odor?
Sure, I'll do them in that order. On the noise, the 8-foot privacy fence is one of the major items that we can do for that, and our employees with the pups at all times when they're outside. And that is a calming effect on an animal. A lot of times when you see fence barking, animals running along a fence or barking, they're barking at something outside the fence. It's usually not that loud, persistent barking from something inside, and so they're annoyed. We also divide, there's dividers in that. So this will not just be one open 3,000 square foot yard. We'll have dividers of some sort in here to break up dogs by size and temperament. My dog's a 13-year-old mutt. When he goes in, he gets in with the really little dogs because he's old and likes to just lay down. And so if dogs are irritated is when they bark, and so we are controlling that by the music inside, from I mentioned earlier, dividing the dogs by size, the vinyl fencing inside, interior fencing and exterior to divide those sizes. And I think that's the major ways that we combat the sound. The rodent one, to be perfectly honest with you, I've never heard before. Well, I've never had that complaint or had an issue at any of our other locations. Everything is kept clean. The fencing is all set so things can't get under the fence, even rabbits or whatever might be to try to get into the pen. We've never had an issue with animals getting into the pen and or getting out of those pens. And so we would be keeping the structure in good standard and in standards with the Reed's Cove requirements.
Just on that item, your food supplies, how are those secured?
The food?
Food?
They're in the building. Most of the stuff is either dry food that's kept in dry food containers in a kitchen. We have an actual kitchen with dishwashers in it for sanitizing the bowls and those, or we have several fridges because a lot of people bring some sort of cooled food with them for their dogs. So we have a kitchen area specifically for that. Okay, and then the last item was what was the smell? The way we're doing that is with the rescue disinfectant that's sprayed throughout the day and cleaned each night, and then specifically picking up the feces that are there. And by picking those up, you'll see that when you look at any of the yards, they're immediately picked up. There's nothing that's left out. It's double bagged, not just single bagged to eliminate that odor. Yes, sir.
Other questions from the commission? Mr. Daly?
When they do go outside, how many dogs per person maximum?
Kansas, I don't believe, has a law requiring what the percentage. Like in North Carolina, you have to have, because we've looked into other areas as well. Mostly, honestly, just because we had Freddy's in North Carolina and we thought maybe we'll move there because of our expertise of knowing that. And they have a requirement that says 1 per 10 people. Kansas doesn't have that requirement, and so we don't have a set number because it's based on the dogs and the temperament. And so there's many times though when you'll have 15 dogs in there and 2 people. And we also do report cards. So we have an iPad that we walk around with. We take pictures of the dogs and send it to the parents. They like a report card of their animal, especially when they're on vacation. And so I don't have a set number because it's not required. It's really set by the pups and how they're acting.
Lawrence?
You also said this facility will have cats.
There is a single room to board cats. There's no playing. They're not loose. They're put in a crate. A cat crate. It's off to the side of the lobby where the dogs can't see it when they come in. We're very visual to know the dogs and cats don't want to mix, but we also, our Manhattan facility allows 11 cats. Our Leawood facility allows 6. It really is just a supplement for the owners. The cats? It would depend on how long they stay. We don't have a limit, but correct. I mean, yes, depending on vacation. A lot of people prefer that to leave them at home by themselves.
Questions from the commission? All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anybody from the audience who would like to speak on this case? If you'll just step forward, state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Matt Thiessen. I'm with Core North Capital Planning at 13111 21st Street. We've been in the building. We built the building there 11 years ago, and before any of these other commercial properties were there. Our biggest concerns are noise, one, in meeting with clients, and I mean, there's dogs outside. I don't see how a fence stops barking. Also, I'm more concerned with what goes in around that. Right now, this picture is a bit out of date. The property to the north of that, those trees are pretty much all gone. They're building a prosthetic limb and rehabilitation facility that's going to border that. There's also businesses that prepare food in the retail building that shares the corner with that property. I'm mostly concerned with what buildings are going to be put in next to it. I mean, you're seriously limiting what's going to go in. You ask any person here that has a business, do you want to build your business next to a dog kennel facility? And they'd all say no. In my mind, a boarding facility kind of belongs out closer toward the edges of town than right in the middle of an office park. So that's it.
Questions from the commission? Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this case? If you'll, are you a co-applicant? Okay, well, you'll have to wait till rebuttal. Anybody else that would like to speak on this case? Okay, so agent or applicant will have 2-minute rebuttal.
I appreciate your comment on the noise. I just, for one comment, our personal office is in the same conjoining building of our Manhattan facility. You can look that up, and I can show you any pictures. I even probably have a slide I could pull up if you wanted to see that, and I appreciate you saying that. We have our office right next to it and don't have an issue, but I understand the comment. I'm going to let Fred talk about some of the conjoining areas.
Yeah, Fred Hermes. I live at 2401 North, 224th Street West. And I actually own the skilled nursing facility next door, Reed's Cove Health and Rehabilitation Center. And of course, we're very much in support. I own the land. To answer part of the other question, out to the front, the other 3 parcels, there'll be duplexes there. And those will be beginning construction here in a couple of weeks. So no, that's kind of what's going on there. I will tell you, I do share some of your concerns, or did, because when they first approached me about this, I actually traveled to Manhattan and went through the facility because I was concerned about noise and smell. There wasn't any. I was shocked how well this is run. I actually have some pictures that I took, and it is impressive. It is very impressive. It was quiet. I think they had probably 75 dogs in the 3 different areas at the time, and I went through every one of them. And I think one dog barked at me once just to greet me. Extremely clean, no smell, quiet. I came back and talked to my partners, and we're like, wow, this would be a great neighbor. And I know my activity director over at the nursing facility is just ecstatic about it. She thinks that, hey, we might be able to talk them into having some of our residents go over and pet pups. So,
Sir, your time is up. Thank you. Questions from the commission? All right, thank you very much. We will bring it back to the commission for action. Mr. Joe Johnson.
I'm going to be opposed to this only because it has not gone to the DAB.
Thank you. Mr. Warren.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to approve by Mr. Warren, a second by Mr. McKay. Further discussion. Mr. Bill Johnson.
I'm going to support the motion. I was somewhat impressed with the facility on the west side where they took an existing facility, where this is going to be built all new. I think it's even that much better. So I'll support the motion.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Aye. So motion carries 12-2. Oh, I'm sorry.
11-2-1.
11-1. Forget Mr. Richardson is maybe left the building.
No, he's coming back.
Oh, he's coming back.
Right behind you.
Hiding.
He's been in hiding. He recused himself.
You didn't hear him snoring.
I didn't. I did hear Mr. McKay snoring, though.
You did.
Okay.
I just don't think we ought to be doing things before it goes to the DAB.
All right. Dave, it looks like you're going to present to us on agenda item number 9.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Dave, you're out with staff. PUD 2019-05 concerns property that is on Douglas Street. We're just to the east of Grove. We're between Poplar, which is the first street east, and then Green Street is next. You can see the outline in the area in blue. It's presently zoned all light commercial or limited commercial. Most of the property faces Douglas Street. There is one lot involved in this case that is facing on Green Street. We can address that with some of the pictures. This is an outline of the aerial, and you can see this northern lot that faces Green Street is just an open, there are no buildings on there at this time. The comprehensive plan shows the area is primarily shown for commercial development. This is the drawing site plan that's attached to the PUD. The text is off to the right, but we can see just the boundary of the property that's involved with this PUD. This is looking at the lot, that northern lot that faces Green Street. I'm on Green Street looking west. This is the current fencing that's around that lot that's been there apparently for a large number of years. This is looking south along Green Street. The photograph that I was parked right about here looking west previously, and this is looking south towards Douglas, which is down here to the south end. This is looking east from the site, and what is across the street to the east. You can see we've got an apartment building that actually faces on Douglas. There's some parking in the area to the east. Further to the north there are some single-family homes. This is looking north along Green Street. You can see the single-family homes here, and then there are others that are further north of the property. Those are all zone TF3. This is on Douglas Street looking east. You can see the kinds of frontage that we have in the existing buildings in this location. This is actually the front of the building that is along Douglas. If you've been to the site, and in the staff report it talks about a large billboard sign, and that's actually the sign that's in question if you've been there. This is looking west along Douglas. Those are the pictures of the property in question. You should have at your seat a new staff report. Apologize that it is different from what you got in the mail. The only difference is that we're cleanup and with respect to some of the recommendations on general conditions with the PUD. We modified some of the conditions, went more with what the applicant had requested, and that's what is now on record as being recommended to you. And the changes elsewise were from primarily what you had originally had been modeled on the conditions of the PUD that was attached to Revolutia up on Central. And we used that as the model. And after a further discussion with the applicants, we modified that, and that's what's in the new staff report that's at the seat that should be there for everyone. If you don't have that, let us know and we'll get it to you because we have extra copies out in the hall. This did go to the District Advisory Board on Monday, and it was unanimously recommended for approval. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Green.
Yeah, Dave, one question and one concern, I guess. Can you address that metal fence that's on, I guess it's, what is that, on Green Street?
On Green Street.
Has that been addressed in any way with the applicant and the
we did talk
longevity of that fence?
Yeah, we did talk about that, and we were informed that was there when they bought the property. It's been, according to what they told us, the building on Douglas has been vacant. In fact, the utilities have been off since 2011, and they bought the property in the process of cleaning it up. The fencing around the property up on Green Street has been there all, apparently, since they bought it a year or so ago. The property, if you'll recall, when we looked at the zoning, it's all commercial to the north and to the east. The only place where they're going to run into any issue with respect to compatibility screening and buffering is going to be on that Green Street frontage because they've got TF3 property across the street. We did talk to them about what might be done with that. One option would be to do some landscaping along that area. You can see in the photograph that we, this is what, if you will, how the property immediately to the north, that's apparently owned by the city, is currently kept out along the curb. And I'm not sure that qualifies as landscaping. But they did talk about the fact that they may come in. One of the requirements will be to submit a landscaping plan to comply with the city ordinances regarding what would be required along the Green Street frontage, and they will address the issue with that fence. And I know there's an agent here to talk about that, and can maybe address with a little more detail what might happen with that.
And then the other question I have, just want to make sure that the hours of outdoor operations are in compliance.
Yeah, we took what they had recommended and had no
Would that be on
problems.
the new report?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Haven't had a chance to look at that yet.
All right, then I have Mr. Richardson.
But those are in compliance with our,
Yeah, they're consistent with what was done up on Central, and are not going to be any issues with any other restrictions within the city codes at all.
okay, thank you.
Dave, when did you come up with these new recommendations?
Those were worked out Monday afternoon.
My concern here is that the packets went out to this group. This is the first time we've seen this. You made not minor changes, but substantial changes from recommending neighborhood retail to CBD, which is our most dense, if you will, zoning. What went to the DAB?
The new language.
I guess my question would be, and maybe it's a legal question, at what point do we need to stop changing our recommendations? You know, I've tried to even comply with the numbers here, and, you know, and
I mean,
we've
there's
not
no-
had any time at all to look at this.
There's no legal, I mean, theoretically, we could change them up until the meeting, but I think if you are uncomfortable with what has been handed out to you today, you could recommend that it be deferred to give you more time to look at it, but there's no legal requirement. We try and get things done so that they're mailed out to you on the Friday, and then you get them on the weekend or on Monday, however.
But this was available Monday, we're just seeing it today.
Yeah, we did not email them, and maybe we should have. For that, I apologize.
But these are not minor changes, these are substantial. I can't put them side by side and go through and look and see what's changed, and that's concerning to me. I mean, at some point, maybe we don't have a legal, but we need a procedure, it seems to me, that when we make these kinds of changes, we've got to have. Notice the people here in the audience, if there's some here and would have gotten information, they may have bad information, decided not to come because of the changes that we made here. So you know, unless we can defer this, I won't support it.
Mr. Foster.
Dave, I've got 3 questions. I don't think these have been any conditions or notes that have changed. Number 2 here, the parking ratio. It wasn't long after that Revolution went into effect, I got a phone call from someone complaining about the parking situation. And so my question is, you know, this business of going to the central business district so that there's no off-street parking requirement is getting to be kind of like just something you pull off the shelf to solve your parking problem. So my question is, are you comfortable that this does not have to have an off-street parking requirement?
Yes, we are.
Second question is, 4D in the original set of notes states adequate restroom facilities shall be provided. What standard is adequate, and who administers that?
Well, that was the language that they proposed, and the presumption was that was tied to the times when they would have any outdoor activity occurring in the open space that's available in the lots, that they would have additional restroom facilities provided. Now, there was not a quantification provided on their part, and we did not provide one either. So,
Will there be some sort of a city code that can be applied to this?
yes, yeah. Jeff, go ahead.
I think in the building code, there's a requirement for bathroom facilities based on the occupancy of the building.
Mr. Bill Johnson.
Wait, I'm not.
Oh, you're not done. I'm sorry.
I've only done 2. I got 3.
Oh, you got 3. All right. We'll give you some more time.
The billboard sign that's there, is that considered non-conforming with the current zoning that it has?
I believe so. But it's existing.
Well, my point, my question is, and I would need to go back and read the city's sign ordinance, is there an amortization clause?
No, I don't believe there is.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Bill Johnson. Sorry.
This is kind of off the subject, but I just want to make a comment. Being on this commission for over 20 years, there's been different people in the department that's run this. I can remember back in the day when there was announcements that were made at this meeting. The applicant didn't even know what was going to be said as well as this, and we got to deal with it like we were a judge and a jury. I think staff does an awful good job, and I don't want it to be indicated in here that they're not fulfilling what they're doing. I don't think that's fair.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Okay. Thank you, Dave. If agent or applicant could please come forward, state your name and address, and you'll have 10 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the commission. Kim Edgington, 2532 North Cardinal Drive, Wichita, Kansas. Just to kind of clarify how some of these changes came about, the language that we had proposed in the CUP referenced, PUD, referenced the CBD on several occasions. We were not aware until Friday of last week, once we received the staff report, that there was a recommendation for some of the NR neighborhood retail restrictions. So staff was kind enough, Scott Knable and Dave, you're out to meet with us on Monday afternoon. And we just kind of shared some of our concerns and eventually came to a very good agreement that this property was more appropriate for CBD restrictions rather than neighborhood retail. This is not Revolution. It's a different location, a very different situation. The property is on the queue line, so that is one of the things that they really want to embrace and will significantly lessen the need for parking at the site. That a lot of the people that will be visiting will make this a stop on the queue line. And it is surrounded by LC, which makes it also a very different situation. So we just overall felt, with the agreement of staff, that the central business district regulations were more appropriate for this site. As it was noted by Dave, it was unanimously recommended for approval by the DAB at our Monday night meeting, and that was with the amended restrictions for the CBD uses. And this will allow for a very unique situation to have multiple users within these buildings. Somebody that maybe can't afford to do an entire storefront themselves that will be able to just have a space in here. Some complementary uses, restaurants, chocolate bar, artists, galleries type things that will all be a very nice mixture in here. The building character is similar to what you would see in the CBD with the, it's right up on the property line. We will be retaining that storefront character. You can see on this photo that there's a garage door that's been installed there. When the weather's nice, that can be opened. It can be more of kind of an open air marketplace. Something very unique to the city of Wichita and something that I think will be a real asset. We just had the discussion earlier about the plan that you all approved, and we feel like this is something that can really bring a benefit to this area. It fits in well with that plan. Infill development, it is aligns with the Places for People plan very well, as we discussed with the infill development. It's an interesting reuse and revitalization of this property that has long been vacant. Brings some activity to the area. There is also an opportunity, the parking lot to the north of it that is owned by the city of Wichita has a lease agreement with the Wichita Indo-Chinese Center, which is immediately west of this building. We would like to explore the opportunity to work with the city of Wichita to maybe partner with parking. I've visited that site several times, and I know some of the staff mentioned also that they had, and we've never seen anyone parked in that parking lot. So we hope that there is an opportunity to share that. And as far as the screening, we do plan to do a better job than some of maybe what the city has on their screening. So we will be ramping up that screening along Green, removing that fencing that's there, and getting an approved landscape plan for either a combination of fencing and screening that will be approved by the city and that will meet the provisions of the Unified Zoning Code. I would be happy to stand for any questions. The property owner, one of the partners, is here, Adam Steiner. If you have any specific questions operationally about the project, that he would be glad to answer. Otherwise, I will stand for any questions that you might have.
Questions from the commission? Mr. Richardson?
In the previous staff report, we talked about exterior audio systems that project sound beyond the boundaries that PUD are prohibited. I don't see that in the new regulations. And we also see that outdoor speakers would be allowed on the weekend on Green Street.
Right, and we agree to that restriction of speakers on that north lot. But then in our discussions with staff, we felt like the hours of operation restrictions took care of some of those other noise issues.
But we could have speakers until 2 in the morning on the weekend.
On the weekend, on Friday and Saturday nights. And that restriction, or that was left in there mainly because of the fact that there is entire LC property surrounding this.
But we have residential uses right across the street and next door.
But that property has a restriction that we agree to no outdoor speakers on that property that fronts along Green across from the TF3.
Well, that's not what it says in 6E on the new report.
I have to get my... Well, we are willing to add that restriction if the commission so chooses.
To have no outdoor speakers on
On
Green
the
Street.
Green Street property, yes.
You have a question?
Closest residential to that on Green Street, isn't that just north of, or right across the street from that parking lot that's to the north? It looks like a house, I just don't know if it is.
Right there, yes, that's on Green Street to the north, on the east side of Green Street. It's north, there's an alleyway that runs east-west behind those commercial buildings that front on Douglas, and that property is behind there.
Further north, past that over to the west, that's where that parking lot is for
Right,
the
that's,
city owns.
yeah, if you, I don't know if is there a pointer up here, Dave?
Yeah.
Or, yeah, this property right here is what's owned by the city. That's where kind of these overgrown trees are along that along that parking lot. So, and this right here is the start of the fence of the subject property. So that's the fence that we will be removing and replacing with screening that complies with the zoning code.
Mr. Foster.
Kim, you had started to mention the parking issue. Do you anticipate a parking concern here?
We do not. There is quite a bit of on-street parking available, and then also, as I said, that with the potential to partner with the city of Wichita for the use of that parking lot to the north, and the fact that it's on the queue line, that there's we do not anticipate having a great parking need.
Other questions from the commission? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is there anybody from the audience that would like to speak on this case? Okay. I will bring this back to the commission for action.
I'd move for approval with the requirements listed in the revised staff report.
Second.
I have a motion by Joe Johnson, a second by Mr. Green, and a question by Mr. McKay.
Motion maker, we referred to on 6E about the speakers.
I'm leaving it the way it was written.
Mr. Foster.
Some clarification here. The one I'm looking at here, which is the one that was on my desk here, has no 6E. I've got a 4E.
Go to the recommendations. We renumbered all that. If you don't have that, I can
There
get.
we are. Okay. And this may have already been stated, but I want to make sure and follow up on Mr. Richardson's concern that regarding nothing facing Green Street, which was consistent with the original set of conditions. Is that correct for the motion maker?
Say again?
That there be no outdoor speakers which would face the residential area across from Green Street.
My opinion, that's what 6E says. There should be no use of outdoor speakers on lots 36, 38, which are these lots that face Green Street.
Except on Friday and Saturday.
Yes.
Friday and Saturday.
I was okay with that.
Sunday through Thursday, no go. Friday, Saturday.
And that's till 2 a.m.?
Don't show your age.
Moving across the street.
What's that, Josh?
Maybe that's a legal question I can ask is, how's that work with the sound ordinance at 10 o'clock? You're not supposed to, so with this, it would allow it in that neighborhood? Is that correct?
Still has to comply.
Yeah, it still has to comply, still has to comply with the city noise ordinance. Typically at that time of night, there's a complaint and the police would be regulating that.
But would we be open the door for complaints to have happen continually because of that?
I think that's just kind of a natural event. The later that goes, the more chance for complaints, so.
Isn't the noise ordinance a certain level of decibels at the property line? Scott shaking
Yeah,
his
it's
head
above-
yes.
Yeah, there's a certain number of decibels above the ambient background noise. I
And
think it's 80, anything over 80 decibels, which quite frankly, the normal speaking voices, approximately that. But the police do not go out, I don't think, with the meters and stuff that we have that's done during normal business hours. It's more based on them out there observing it.
Mr. McKay?
Kim? Question of the engineer.
Yes, Mr.
Did
McKay.
you not say that you would accept eliminating number?
Well, as it was written with the Sunday through Thursday, we are in agreement with.
You're saying leave it the way that is presented?
Yeah, we would ask
Right.
that it be left as the staff recommendation.
Okay.
Right.
I misunderstood what you said. You agreed to it. No, that's exactly right.
Mr. Bill Johnson?
I guess I'd just say this is the way the DAB approved it, was leaving it in there, so. Unanimously.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
No.
Aye.
No. No.
Okay, so
Show some hands.
Aye.
opposed,
Opposed?
opposed,
Four?
5. So motion carries 9-5.
Daily.
I have Miles, Richardson, Daly, and Florence. Who's the fifth?
Okay. All right, moving on to agenda item number 11, ZON 2019-00010, and we have Philip here to present for us.
Bear with me as I. Good afternoon, Commissioners, Madam Chair. Philip Zevenbergen with Planning Staff. Got a rezoning case here, looking to rezone a property located north of West Maple, about 500 feet on the west side of South Tyler Road. The request is rezone the property from neighborhood retail to limited commercial for the intended use of a small animal vet clinic. So it'd be Animal Care Limited is the use. The applicant is also requesting to amend PO 306, which also governs the site. They're looking to amend items 1 and 9. Item 1 would be to allow a sign on the east side of the building that would front Tyler Road. And on item number 9, the only amendment to it would allow the Animal Care Limited as a permitted use because the PO does state that the uses allowed would only be in neighborhood retail and Animal Care Limited is allowed in limited commercial. The point of the amendment to the PO would be to keep in the character of the PO that is related to the site. The case history behind this site in 2016, a rezoning case was submitted to rezone the property from SF5 to limited commercial. And through the Planning Commission procedures, it was agreed to make it neighborhood retail and to include this protective overlay. So in essence, we're keeping in the nature of the protective overlay. We're just allowing one additional use on the property that is allowed in limited commercial. All uses in limited commercial that are not allowed in neighborhood retail would still be disallowed. We're just opening the door for this Animal Care Limited use to be allowed on the site and all other limited commercial uses to still be prohibited on this site, to keep in character with the neighborhood, to help appease some of the concerns that were brought up from the previous zoning case that was seeking limited commercial and got rezoned to neighborhood retail instead. You can see on the subject property that there is limited commercial at the intersection of Maple and Tyler. There are property further north than that. There is single-family residential on all sides across Tyler Road on the north and on the west in this location. This case was heard at the DAB meeting on Monday. There were residents present, though I wouldn't say they were openly opposed to it. There was a pretty good dialogue between them and the applicants, primarily getting a lot of questions and concerns answered as to what are the specifics on some of the site related to the size of the building, where were the kennels on the interior going to be kept, making sure that there was not going to be any outdoor kennels or dog runs, what was the screening and fencing going to look like, things of that nature, and I can let the applicant and the agent speak on that. The DAB did unanimously approve this as presented by staff with the staff report that you do have. And with that, I will say staff is recommending approval of this, and I can stand for any questions.
Okay, questions from the commission?
And before we move on, if you wanted to, the site is currently vacant, and this is the site. And looking north, there's a house right across from it. Looking south, these are some of the commercial uses. These are the houses directly across the street, and this is looking southeast towards the corner with Quick Trip and some other commercial uses as well.
Thank you. Mr. Green?
So that we're not confused, this is a veterinary clinic as opposed to a daycare?
Correct.
Right.
They do have boarding on site, interior primarily for, they do allow some boarding for if people go on vacation, but primarily some of the boarding is for the animal care itself. So there are kennels indoors, and they will be bringing animals outdoors to use the restroom, but they always will be accompanied by staff, and they're immediately brought back in. So there's no outdoor dog runs, there's not any outdoor play areas. It is literally bring them outside to use the facilities, come back in. So outdoor exposure for the animals is very limited.
Other questions from the commission? All right, thank you, Philip. Agent or applicant, if you'd like to step forward, state your name and address, and you'll have 10 minutes.
Stan Landwehr with WDM Architects, 105 North Washington. Here is the agent for the applicant. I would say that the only thing I would add is that on this property there is an easement that effectively bisects the property along this line. And so the development is planned to happen to the east of that easement, and we are looking to maintain the two mature trees that are on the street frontage. And at that, I would open it up to any questions you might have.
All right, questions from the commission? I was keeping track of time. No questions? Okay, thank you. Is there anybody from the audience that would like to speak on this case? Perfect. If you'll step up to the podium, state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes. Dale, start the timer.
My name's Larry Ryan. I live at 150 South Byron, which is behind this property. I get the letter in the mail, and all I'm thinking is 101 Dalmatians, and they're all barking. I just thought, oh my word. So we went to the meeting the other day, and the doctors presented it that this is going to be all inside. Building's going to be insulated. We shouldn't hear anything. There'll be a fence around the property. I was feeling pretty good about that until I come here today. And now I sit here and I see speakers going into a neighborhood till 2 in the morning. I see, thank God I don't live on 21st Street, a doggy daycare with 150 dogs. Back when this property rezoned, there was a lot of opposition to it. I think we had like 4 meetings on it. Lots of restrictions were put on it, some negotiation done, and we got to this neighborhood retail. And now we're wanting to bump into LC. And to be real honest, I'm fine with what the vets want to do. But I really don't want to be back here in 2 years going, we want to put in a doggy daycare, or we want to do this. I know there's overlays on it, but it's a very small step now that you gave it LC to start asking for 150 dogs in a kennel. I think that there were several neighbors there the other day. I was there at the DAB meeting. I think we're okay with this as long as what is being said is what happens and stays that way. I think there'll be fencing around the deal. You know, I think it was mentioned the other day, an 8-foot fence, and unlike the guy that was here before, that really doesn't quiet down dog barking, but it would help. So I think the city will require screening anyway, but at least that be there. And like I said, I just don't want to be back here in 2 years asking for another step up on this zoning thing. Let's hold it where it's at. Let's let them build a vet, and hopefully I can have quiet enjoyment of my home. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you. Questions from the commission? All right, I don't see any questions. Is there anybody else from the audience who would like to speak on this case? Okay, then I would offer agent or applicant the opportunity to take a 2-minute rebuttal.
Hi, I am Dr. Monica Moore, and we are located at 8820 West Maple here in Wichita, Kansas. A lot of the concerns that he stated, we addressed the other night at the meeting. I think in relation to noise, if a home was located there with owners and they decided to have outside dogs, you can leave your outside dogs out as late as you want and they can bark all night long. We don't have that. You're not going to have that late night noise. We actually right now own a veterinary clinic around the corner. We're planning to move the practice. I would ask, do you hear the noise from the clinic now? Because it's not that much further from where you're at. We've never in the 10 years that I've been managing there had a single noise complaint. So, or an odor complaint of any kind. So as far as noise and odor go, we anticipate that that's not going to be a problem. Pets will be on a leash, walked individually outside with kennel staff or with staff. They may go on walks around the neighborhood, but they will not be outside. And I cannot tell you that we can prevent a dog from barking occasionally. It's going to happen. But our goal is to maintain a very happy, healthy relationship with our neighbors and also provide great veterinary care to our patients.
Thank you.
Yes.
Question from the commission. Mr. Blick.
Do you agree with the staff's recommendations on page 3 and 4 of the report?
I'm not familiar.
Answer's yes.
Just the changes there? Yeah. Okay. Yes, sorry. Yes, we are in agreement with those.
It looks like it's going to be an improvement compared to the property to the south that I've noticed on Google Earth.
We hope so.
Other questions from the commission? Mr. Joe Johnson, do you have a question?
No.
No, okay.
I'm just ready to make a motion.
Thank you very much. I think Mr. Joe Johnson is ready to make a motion.
I move we approve subject to the staff recommendations.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Joe Johnson, a second by Mr. Green. Other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 13-0. All right, moving on to the last agenda item, number 12, case number ZON 2019-00012. And we got Dave up again.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a request to rezone property on either side of Bluff, south of 17th Street. And I will apologize, you have a revised staff report in front of you on this one The only change is on the first page where we incorrectly identified another property above the picture sheet. And so you've got the correct location identified, but nothing else changed from what you received in your packet. The property is south of 17th Street, and I'm sure as you're aware, we've got Wichita State to the north. We have 5 lots on the west side of Bluff. There are 2 lots on the east side of Bluff immediately south of 17th, and then one other lot that does go all the way over to Fountain Avenue included within this request. You can see from the zoning map, the property to the west that's along Gentry. The southern portion is already zoned B multifamily. There are 3 lots to the north that are zoned limited commercial. That's important because let me show you on the aerial. It's the property to the west where there already exists an apartment building that's a part of the overall project that's being handled by the applicant with respect to what's going on in this area. As you can see from the aerial, there are some homes along the lots that do face on Bluff. Those are either partially removed or in the process of being removed and raised, as well as the other lots that and properties that are owned that face on Gentry. The property on the east side of Bluff is mostly vacant, and I believe the house that's over here on Fountain either is or will be raised as well. You can see the location with respect to the comprehensive plan. It's identified as a residential and employment mix. There was a site plan provided that was included within your packet that shows you the general concept of what's happening with the proposal of how they want to redevelop this area. You can see the existing apartment building that I talked about earlier. That's shown here at the corner of Gentry and 17th. There will be another apartment building to the south of that, and then one that's built along facing Bluff. There will then be a lease office area built roughly in this location. The property on the east side of Bluff, between Bluff and Fountain, is identified within this site concept as being exclusively used for parking and part of the overall parking for the overall complex. The staff's recommendation is to support the rezoning. Attached with that will be what we've really kind of determined will be the first time that we will use the recent amendment to the zoning regulations that allow consideration of what amounts to parking adjustments as an administrative adjustment tied to a zoning. That was an amendment that was just recently done. Previously, the rezoning, if this was done and the applicants came in requesting the adjustment for the overall parking reduction from what would be required if they build the layout as shown here down to 130 lots, would be handled as an administrative adjustment, which would be a separate action, a separate thing that unless there was an appeal from a neighbor, you wouldn't even see it. The regulations allow now the ability for us to include those kinds of adjustment activities to go simultaneously with the rezoning, and that's what's happening here. This is your first time to experience that. And I know there was a communication with Commissioner Richardson about that earlier, and Scott knows that better than probably anybody else, and unfortunately he's left. But this is the first time that we have done this under the recent amendments that were done to the regulations tied to it, and it was a part of the overall amendment package that went through when the new wireless regulations were put into effect. So what we are including within the approval recommendation is to rezone the property that is a part of this application, which is only the lots outlined in red, to B multifamily, which are presently zoned SF5, and then also granting within this area the ability to reduce the overall parking demand down to 130 spaces, kind of anticipated based upon what might happen if the overall development does occur as envisioned. Got some photos, don't know how much you want to see this. This is what is looking east along 17th. I'm on Bluff. This is one of the lots that's to the east, and there's others back to further to the east, but we're looking east. You can see part of Wichita State here to the north. This is looking west at the site. This is one of the homes that will be raised. You can see the existing apartment complex that's in the background. You can also see one of the newer features in the neighborhood, which is the large power pole from Westar. That's a little better, but you're also looking west along 17th Street. This is looking north from the site, and I understand this is the substation that Westar has on the campus right across the street, and you can see the wall surrounding that. Immediately north of this, and this is, I'm at Bluff, looking north is the parking lot that's to the north. This is looking south along Bluff. Most of these homes either are gone or will be gone as a part of the overall project. So be happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Green?
Yeah, Dave, there was a building setback that was alluded to in our staff report. Will the subdivision committee be hearing?
My understanding from the applicant is that, one, they were unaware of the platted restriction that's on the plat. I did note that in the staff report, that there is an existing platted 30-foot building setback along Bluff. It's also in that subdivision. And according to Mr. Lindeback, they are in the process, will be applying for requests to vacate that setback. And so that will be coming forward. They did not know about it apparently until they got the staff report. So, but yes, they will be addressing that as well.
Thank you.
Mr. McKay?
Two questions, Dave. Number one, how many units are they planning on putting in here?
Don't know that answer off the top of my head. I think Scott's better at answering that question, or
Well,
Brian will.
My only reason asking that question is, why are we zoning it B rather than MF 18 or something like that, which is a lesser than, as far as density is concerned?
I think the application simply came in because it's already zone B to the west. And of course,
I understand that.
it is Wichita State, but it's all to the north.
I understand that, but why? Because B has a lot denser,
Yeah, it would allow a lot more a higher use, but again, it's all going to be driven by availability of parking at the time. We did not recommend a lesser room. It's within your purview to do that.
Mr. Florence?
This went to the DAB Monday, am I right?
It went to the DAB Monday. Motion was made to support it, but that motion failed by a final vote of 4-2. So effectively, the DAB did not support the request.
Richardson?
Well, the conversations I had with Dave was along the lines of what Mr. McKay asked, which was how many units will be there. We're being asked to approve a set number of parking spaces. I think if we reduce the parking, it ought to be a parking ratio as opposed to a flat number of spaces, because we're not approving the number of units. That would allow the flexibility to go up or down and keep the same parking ratio. I don't ever remember us approving a flat number of parking spaces when we don't know what's going to be built. I know what they say is going to be built, and I think they're sincere about that, but all things change. And I think a parking area ratio would be better than just a flat number of parking spaces.
So I'm seeing in the back part of my packet, a document that says High Plains Development WSU Housing Study, and it talks about building type B or building type C. Can we, it's naming units. I'll ask the applicant, yeah, too.
Well, I think it would be within your purview to attach conditions or use a protective overlay to set an upper limit. I don't know. Dale's saying no. So,
The other question is, Dave, what were the objections from the DAB?
well, some of the folks that spoke are here.
Right.
Most of the objections that were discussed in front of the DAB, and I think the DAB's response was concerns that there had been a lack of sincerity of communication within the neighborhood of what was going on.
Right.
And concerns that there had been perhaps some misunderstanding of the full extent of what was happening. And my reading of the tea leaves of what the DAB members were saying was that they were asking for more specificity of how we might be able to pin that down, and it was beyond what we could do through zoning. And so when the motion was made to support this, I mean, the motion maker was saying that this was kind of consistent with what was happening within an area immediately south of Wichita State, and that they were aware that this was a reinvestment into the neighborhood that would, in some folks' opinion, enhance overall values completely within the neighborhood. Now, not everybody agreed with that, and but at the end of the day, the vote was 2-4 to not against the motion. I mean, the 4 were against approval, so. There was not a motion followed up to disapprove. That was an issue that, you know, in hindsight would have been better if they had turned around and then said, well, the motion fails, now we need a substitute motion or another motion. But my guess is that had another motion been made to deny, it would have passed 4-2. So.
Mr. Richardson.
Dave, do we know what the density is here? Have you calculated the density?
I did not do that.
Mr. Foster.
1.4 acres.
Dave, I'm curious. I'm trying to recall back when this body looked at the wireless communication and advised for changes to it. I do not recall anything related to zoning adjustments for parking. Was that in there?
I was told by Scott it was done roughly at the same time. Now, I don't know.
I'm
All I
just
know is that
curious.
my understanding is that this is something that's within the code now that we have the ability to do. That's what Mr. Knable said.
Other questions? All right, thank you, Dave.
I don't think they're allowed.
If we could have agent or applicant, please come forward, and you will have 10 minutes.
Good afternoon, Commission. This is Brian Lindback, MKC Engineering, 411 North Webb Road, on behalf of the owner and applicant. I've got a short presentation here. This is, of course, a B multifamily zoning. I know there's some questions about whether B multifamily is required. B multifamily is required. I met with Scott Knable in advance of this application, and B multifamily is the only zoning that we can have approved for this prospective build. It's due to the density. So, of course, this location is right across the street from WSU. I have here location. This thing is poised for success because of so much planning that has gone into this area. There's been a substantial amount of planning. As you can see, as kind of reiteration of staff report, which I'm in agreement with, the U is the university. This all down here is all multifamily. This over here is a cemetery off of Oliver, and that's also B multifamily. This up here to the north is also a cemetery, B multifamily. And then LC, of course, we have a lot of multifamily around here, but it's already used up. It's already been developed. This is the ownership notification. As you can see, the subject properties are here, and as Mr. Yearout mentioned, this is our project boundary. Here you can see I'm showing it over here. There's an existing building in that project boundary, which has parking the parking on that existing building is a 1-to-1 ratio. So we're going to be upgrading that parking, of course, if this gets approved. One thing I'd like to share is that we had a neighborhood meeting on February 26, 2019. All in attendance were in favor of this project. We had the Fairmont neighborhood president. We had a number of other individuals that were very active in the community here, as well as active with WSU. WSU is very supportive of this project as well. As you know, they've got some other housing projects going on campus. Their desire is to see this become a more of a full-fledged campus with people walking to and from campus. So as I said, there's substantial public investments in transportation and other enhancements to the neighboring community, has amplified demand for new and modern and diversified housing options. This will certainly check that box. There's been a long history of and strong demand for quality rental property in the area south of WSU. I think this is a very important point to make. The average age of multifamily housing north of 16th and south of 17th, and the same corridor I just spoke to you about, is 69 years old. So 1950 is the average. There's already mid-rise dwelling units that are suitable because they prevail throughout the area. The height of the buildings are proposed at 3 stories, again, which is compatible with all the other multifamily properties south of 17th. We all just witnessed the plan that Ms. Hunt presented with the comp plan, some changes there. This again emphasizes to you that this is a favorable area for development. It's growth in the established urban core, and so of course that plan was just approved here just not so long ago in 2015. There are vacant properties on this subject property that will be renewed. The applicant comprises of 2 ownerships. They are one and the same. It's Wilhelma Properties and Linear Properties. This project is privately funded, and it's an investment in a deserving community. I think that's an important thing to denote, that this property has this area has been hasn't seen a whole lot of reinvestment in. The 1760 building, which is the existing building that's part of this project, was recently renovated in 2012. That has been a very huge success. There was once under 50% occupancy. Now it's holding strong at 95 to 100% occupancy. Right now it's 100% occupancy. So we wouldn't be looking at this if there wasn't strong demand. Of course, this is just an echo of, again, that comp plan. I think it's important to denote here in red that these are areas of new residential development. Well, this is an existing community. So I think this is fortuitous that this investment plan has identified that there'll be redevelopment activity in here. Again, robust public transportation improvements. As you know, the intersection of 21st and Oliver was recently upgraded, as was Oliver and as was 17th Street. And of course, the Innovation Campus is abounding with improvements and investment. And of course, our items here in red, our subject properties, are smack dab in the middle of it. I think transportation is an important component of this parking question. This site, as you can see, is very well suited for the shuttle system that WSU campus has. It also is well suited for the parking situation over at WSU. There's parking passes that WSU has. As you can see, there's all sorts of parking lots over here on WSU, and so the intent is that these will be residents, of course, and they will, if they'll be parking on site, and I'll show you on our presentation further that parking is going to be secured, so no other vehicles will be able to park there. It'll be fenced and for the residents' use only. One thing I found interesting as I was researching this case, that there's a brand new line, and there's a bus stop right here in front of our project. The bus stop is on both sides of 17th Street. one right in front of our project. And then, one thing that's interesting to me is that all students who have a Shocker ID can ride for free throughout the community on the bus system. Of course, this bus takes you downtown. It takes you to grocery stores and all things throughout town. Oop. This is the 2011, let me go back here. The 2011-2013 bicycle master plan. I think it's interesting here. This was planned as a bike route on 17th Street back then. And there was two nodes here. One was for pedestrian signal, and this one has yet to be built. The one in Circle is yet to be built. But I think that with continued development, that pedestrian access across towards the campus would be great. But this has already identified it, and then of course the plan has been implemented. This signal was put in with the improvements to 17th Street, and of course the sharrows along the road allow for bike lanes, and so there's really good interconnectivity throughout the neighborhood. Of course, Redbud Trail was recently upgraded as well. So again, if someone wanted to get on that Redbud Trail and hop downtown, or even get over to the east side, they'll be able to do that. This is the site plan overall. Of course, this side of the site is all permitted as part of the type of zoning that we already have. This side of the site is SF5. We're looking for that B multifamily that we require. And again, this site up here is the parking area. This site at the very northeast is owned by someone else, and the building was raised due to the Westar power lines that went through there. So this is a photo of a rendering of what we hope to build, and we have some amenity space up front here off of 17th. One thing that's not in this photo is the large power pole that you saw earlier. That power pole is going to create this natural setback. And as you can see, it's secured parking. We've got the secured parking. We're going to have security cameras throughout the complex to assist with the neighborhood policing. And there's already been some crimes that have been solved by the camera systems that they have on the existing building on 1760. So we hope to continue that trend, but I think it's most important to just drive home that this is natural progression. Looking back to that first zoning slide, all that zoning along the south there is B multifamily, and it's been there for so long. It's about time we get some new and renewed properties along there. And so I think it's important to share that just once again, that all these properties down here are all multifamily, and so we're not asking for a zoning.
Your time is up.
Oh, can I have just a couple more seconds?
2 more seconds?
2 more minutes. How about?
I can't give you 2 more minutes.
How
Can I
about?
give him, do I want a motion to give him 2 more minutes?
All right. Thank you. Thank you for gracious.
All in favor?
So yeah, this is right near the existing B multifamily and all the other. It's not as though we're asking for something inside the neighborhood. We're just continuing on that same trend forward. And I'll just show you the last slide, and that was just another rendering from the south, looking north. I think it's important to just show how much thought has gone into this project, and if approved today, we're going to proceed just as quick as possible to get this project moving along and to the next stages. We'll file that vacation case to get the setback sorted out, but this is to the north, looking to the north. This would be the WSU campus in the background. And then lastly, we just look for your support with it for the success of this project.
All right, Mr. Joe Johnson.
Ryan, you mentioned there were 35 parking spaces for the existing building. Where are those located?
Joe, use the.
Oh, you got to use your mic, Joe.
Sorry. You mentioned there was 35 parking spaces on the existing building. Where are they located?
They are located just adjacent to the building on the south, on the east side. I think it's also important to note that we're putting the parking on the interior of this space so that you don't have huge expanses of parking lots. Of course, there's not much you can do with these parcels up here because they are, you won't be able to build underneath those power lines with anything, so.
Aren't those power lines coming down?
No, those are brand new.
So the parking's on both sides of the street.
Yes, there'll be parking on this side over here.
Existing is on both sides.
No, there's no existing parking there. The only existing parking is on the back side of this building or on the east side of this existing building.
Yeah, and there's a driveway
Correct.
into a lot, and the lot is on both sides.
Yes, we're gonna utilize that same driveway going into the development off of 17th Street as our primary access.
So it's 190 that you're, or 130 parking spaces? I thought everything on the east side of that driveway was in the new project.
All total, this will have 130 stalls for all the development, and that's what we need for the redevelopment of the whole project as a whole. That's what we're looking for the parking adjustment for.
The building to the south of the existing building, that's part of this project?
That's right. That's a proposed building.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Richardson, it's your turn.
Mr. Lindenback, what we're really talking about here is reduction of parking spaces. Can you sort of enlighten us on what the profile would be of the population that rents these and why you think this will be successful with reduced parking?
Yeah, I think I can really hammer that home. There's a lot of international students in this at WSU. The current tenant demand has international students in mind. Of course, there's the excellent walkability and the transit that I just talked about, as well as the cycling component to it. When we looked at this development, we looked at a walking pattern of 5 minutes, and you can get just about anywhere on campus within 5 minutes. And so I think that weighs in unto itself as a huge component. And then also the fact that we're actually upgrading the parking for that existing building, and we're going to have it be all secured parking. So I think those are all good reasons to approve and look at this in a positive light.
So you're saying that you don't think everybody who lives here is going to own a car?
No. In fact, the current trends of the existing building are in the 50 to 60 percentile of actual having vehicles there. So we expect that trend to continue. And what we're looking for is if you do the math, it's like a 24% reduction from what would be required. Certainly, we could change the mix of the units a little bit and achieve that on our own. But I think it's important to note that we've got some 4 bedrooms and some 3 bedrooms and 2 bedroom mixed in here, which we think would tailor to professionals as well as students, not just your student in a studio or 1 bedroom.
Foster.
Ron, I just want to confirm, up on this, the parking between Bluff and North Fountain, that northeast portion there, is that just this single-family lot that somebody didn't want to?
This one here, right here, is a single-family lot that's not owned by the applicant, and I don't know that we'll be able to get that secured anytime soon, but if we were to secure that as a project, we would certainly convert that to a parking lot. But I think it's only conducive for a parking lot anyways with the power lines there. So I think one could opine that eventually it'll be parking there.
What kind of buffering is going to be required there to the south?
On the parking lot?
Yes.
I think we'll look at the standard landscape code of 5-10 feet landscape buffer there.
I just want to make sure there's enough room for that. Thank you.
Yep.
Other questions from the commission? Mr. Florence.
And say, this is not just exclusively for Wichita State students, right?
No, there's no affiliation with Wichita State. I think it's important to note this is a local development with local investment. There's no outside money that I know of that are investing in this property. But this is open to anybody. So I know there's some residents that live in the neighborhood that may want to upgrade into a new modern housing. But no, it's free and open to the public, not just students.
Other questions from the commission? All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Is there anybody from the audience that would like to speak on this case? If you'll step forward to the podium and state your name and address, you'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle Orm. I actually live at 1593 North Gentry. I've lived there for a little over 6 years. I am excited about this project, to say the least. I think it is a move in the right direction for the community. I'm pretty involved with the community. My kids actually play for the City League and they practice at the park. We're there from now all the way through November. I have several neighbors and friends that also live in the community, and everyone is really excited about this if it's passed. And so I feel like the investors that have their hands on this, for them to want to invest money in our community in these houses that, there's several that are, to say the least, that are dilapidated, not theirs necessarily, but others that just sit vacant and have been for years. So for an investor to want to come in here and spend money to increase even just the curb appeal alone, for it to sit there is exciting to me. I think it's going to be something that's well perceived in the community and will give a good product mix for everyone. That's it.
Questions from the commission?
Danielle,
Mr. Warren?
Danielle, the thing that we're struggling, obviously it's a very good-looking project. The thing we're struggling with is parking. Do you have any feel on that? Do you own a car? And do your friends that may be interested in this, do they own cars? Or that's really is where it's falling for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, with WSU, parking is always an issue. It always has been an issue. And I don't necessarily think that comes from the community, the people that live in the community. I think that's more of an issue with WSU and that they don't provide enough parking for their actual students. But as far as this goes, a lot of the people in the community are international students, and they actually don't have vehicles. And for them to live so close to campus and be able to catch the bus, ride the bike, and walk to classes is very important. So I'd have to say the mix that they're offering as far as slots, I think, is ample. It's more than enough. Yeah. Any?
Other questions from the commission? All right, thank you. Are there others that would like to speak on this? Okay, you'll step forward and state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
All right. Hello, my name is Brooke Hadabaugh, and I live at 1705 North Fairmount, and I've lived there for about 2 years. I grew up on, my mom lived on Central and Hillside, and my dad lived right on 17th and Oliver. So that's all my hood. And so I live there, and I just am very passionate about, I think I would be the first one to feel if it wasn't right, and it's just all positivity. I've seen it. I kind of want to point, bring you guys back from that curve. A lot of what's already set up there is a lot of beautiful things going down, and a lot of beautiful people, and the diversity. And God, I've just learned so much living there, and I'm so excited for more people to be like that. And I think some of us get caught. It's one way, and it's always going to be that way. But these people we have tons of international students, and I feel like they've made me a better person, and made me more aware. And I think this project is incredible, and it's just going to get better. And Also, I just wish you guys should check out Fairmount neighborhood. It has a beautiful park and beautiful people. And I know even from behind me on Holyoke, there was abandoned houses. And when they tore them down, crime stopped, and now something else is going to be built there better. And yeah, I'm all for it. And as far as parking, absolutely, they do not have, a lot of the students don't have cars. And it's always awesome to see when they come here and in 1 year they can get themselves a car and it's like, wow, you're doing more than me. But for right now, yeah, they come in here and they work hard and the car is, at least, they just need to walk across to the school. And so it's not a concern, at least for me, and nor to them. I don't think so. So, and that's all I have to say.
Questions from the commission? Mr.
Yeah.
Johnson.
Thank you for taking your afternoon to come out and talk to us.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
Will you keep him in line?
Yeah, do the best I can.
Mr. Florence, did you have a?
No.
Okay. Anybody else on the commission have a question? Okay, thank you.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Anybody else from the audience? Okay, step forward, state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Theta Ponder, and I'm at 1721 North Fountain Street. I can't speak for anyone but myself in regards to the project. I know that that there's a lot of good in what the plans are, but I think we probably need to, well, I have a couple of questions that go a little bit further than, the warm and fuzzy feeling that everybody has about all the good things that are purported. And we found ourselves, or I found myself, in a situation where I was playing catch up to the whole procedure. And I appreciate the opportunity to come and be able to glean information that would make me pro or against the whole situation. And in Monday's meeting, it was said, and I believe that I've gotten that same tone here, is that even though the focus is for university students because of the proximity to the university and the convenience and so forth, that would be a primary gauge for who might reside in the residents that are projected here. But what I would like to know, because we were told that it would be open to the public at large, would be what percentage of these units would be dedicated to affordable housing, because I think that does play a factor in the caliber of or what that substantial land cost and so would be brought in, the number of units, the would there be a cross section of properties of units that they would have in there that would have a good mix to that housing. What we want to do is have addressing the needs of that community, and the mixed size of units that is projected. I'd be interested in knowing that as well, because we aren't talking about solely student housing. And
Wanda, your time is up. Do you need an additional minute?
well, if I could just get an answer to basically the mixture of properties, what would be projected and what would be dedicated to
Okay, so you don't really need an additional minute. You just
No,
were
I
looking for an
just,
answer to
if
that
those in the readdress, if those specific questions might be answered,
But-
I'd
and
appreciate
I
that.
know we can't ask Mr. Lindeback specifically what percentage of units are dedicated to affordable housing. That would be a question that you might want to ask him one-on-one.
Okay.
But we will ask some other questions that hopefully will help us kind of get an idea of like what the rent ranges are, that kind of thing, if that will be helpful.
Okay.
So does the commission have any, Mr. Foster?
Do you happen to know any projects in the vicinity of WSU that are geared towards affordable housing?
I do not, but in my reading, I guess my interest in this, it was actually thrust upon me, and definitely a layperson. Like I said, I have been put in a position to be catching up with what's going on, even though there are a lot of positives to the project. What happened to my property value is of concern to me with these type of structures coming to the fore. So, a part of my research was that all of these things have a negative and a positive view towards what's going to happen to my property eventually. I would assume that, now we're talking about Bluff, but I'm just the next street over, and we may be asking single family versus multifamily would continue up to all of the residential areas that are going towards or east up towards the Oliver area. I think that's an eventuality, and with what I've seen, whether or not it's going to eventually find that the single-family residents will go away because of these structures. That's my concern.
Thank you. Other questions from the commission? All right, thank you very much. Others that would like to speak on this case? If you'll step forward, state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Paige Edgington. I work at Fairmount Coffee Company, which is just a couple doors down. The address of that is 3815 East 17th Street. I am in favor of this. I think it's great. I'm in favor of it because when we just recently renovated our establishment, we're a nonprofit, into a coffee shop as a way to serve the community, the university, to connect the two. It's gone great. And I know that there has been an interest in the neighborhood and the community, and research that's been done, community action, like meetings that have been done to talk about what the community would like to see happen in the neighborhood. And I would definitely like to see more development happen. I'd like to see more business development happen. I was at the meeting that was not the district advisory board meeting. I was unable to go to that. But the other meeting that was mentioned, and we did discuss like different development things that we would like to see, but also the need for more housing in the community due to the growth of, yes, the university, and that there's a lot more need for students coming, but also wanting to see the community thrive and grow. And so I'm just very excited to see development. I would also like to see business development, but I think residential development that brings something new, something high quality. That was something that we thought about when we did the redevelopment of our coffee shop, was improving the quality of what is in the community so that we could see positive investments. And so I think it's great to see positive investment happening.
Thank you. Questions from the commission? All right, thank you very much. Anybody else like to speak on this case? And if you'll state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Eva Harvey, and I live at 1707 North Fountain Street. And my concern is this. I'm not immediately affected by this decision, but I know it's coming. It's going east. I already have a big problem getting on my street right now. I'm coming down 17th Street and I want to turn onto Fountain Street to go home. Well, there's people coming up, going north on Fountain, trying to turn onto 17th. Bottleneck. I've almost had 2 or 3 wrecks right there. And we talk about parking lots and parking. We don't, unless you live up there, you don't know. There's a lot of people that don't live in that area. They work downtown. They work at maybe one of the plants. They just come in there, go take a couple of classes, park, and leave. What about all those people? Where are they going to park? I'm thinking I'm not going to be able to get on my street one of these days. So you have the apartment buildings. You have the parking there for the people that live in the apartments. But what about the commuters? Wichita State is a very large commuter school. I mean, people are everywhere on the street just parking, you can't even get out of your driveway. So I'm just concerned about that. I'm for investment, I'm for improvement, I'm for jobs, but I still want to be able to get in and out of my driveway. And for my granddaughter, when she's here, because she goes to college out of state, when she's here, she said, "This is terrible, Granny. How am I going to get in and out of here?" So that's basically my concern. I'm affected in a way right now if this goes forward, but I know I'm going to be really affected in the near future. So I want the parking and the traffic to be addressed some way or another.
Thank you. Questions from the commission? All right, thank you very much. Anybody else that would like to speak on this case? Okay, seeing none. Oh, we have one more? Okay. Well, state your name and address and you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you. So my name is Darrell Carrington. I live at 1512 North Gentry Drive. And I really appreciate your time this evening. I want you to know, this hearing for me was competing with a very important event today. So I had mixed emotions. Today, Dr. Bardot has his public memorial. And Dr. Bardot, recently a past president of Wichita State University, had a real passion as it surrounded the development of the communities that surround Wichita State University. In fact, we've been involved in a 3-year program that he'd be so pleased to hear about this development that's happening just south of the campus. As a husband and a father and a son who goes to Wichita State University, I would like to see him have access to affordable, clean housing outside of the home of my wife and mine. And not only him, but his friends. One of the things that we found out when we went door to door in the Fairmount neighborhood and we had a comprehensive survey, everything data-driven and research-oriented, we found out three things that the community wanted. The top 3 were personal safety, public safety, and environmental safety. And what has been mentioned earlier, I just want to reiterate, some of the housing that are going to be raised have been vacant since I've lived in the community, and I've been there for 13 years. And vacant housing breeds all kinds of ills. And so, one of the things that this improvement is going to do is going to raise housing that is unhealthy to the community as it stands now. So, as you know, we have a exciting community. A community member already invited you to come visit us. We have a very exciting Fairmount neighborhood, which is quite diverse. In all directions in terms of education and age and race and nationality. It's probably the most diverse community in Sedgwick County. And we all celebrate that, and we all look forward to celebrating that with more people. Thanks.
Thank you. Questions from the commission?
I just want to make a comment about, I really was impressed with the positiveness and pleasantness of the people that spoke in opposition to this. And we thank you, because we encourage people to come and express their views, and not all people express them in such a way that they're pleasant to us. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. You ready for your 2-minute rebuttal? All righty.
So I think the rebuttal is somewhat informative. It's not so much rebutting, but just also just informing. I think there was some talk about housing prices, where this is going to be a market rate housing. We'll just leave it at that. That there'll be it's not closed to any particular folks. It's fair housing laws are in place, and that's what's going to happen here. There was talk about this being a commuter college. Well, that's kind of the idea here, is to get away from community college and get people close to campus, and that's exactly what this project will do, is help people get close to campus, and they'll have their own parking. I know I showed you the slide about the, let me see if I can get this to go back, about the parking situation at WSU. I know there's been a lot of study going on. I have not been part of that, but this map here shows all these different colors here represent parking. They do have parking passes. I think, as far as I understand, there's some folks that just choose not to get parking passes, and they decide to walk across the street. There's nothing we can do about that at this point in time with the rules and regulations that are in place. So our goal is to have parking for our residents, and that's our primary goal. And the problem outside of that is just that, we can't control that. But I thought it was important to note that. One thing I'd just share, that the developer of this property is very involved with the community. They've been involved with different coalitions, been involved with WSU, been very involved with the Fairmont Association. So I just wanted to share that as good faith gesture to the neighborhood, and that they are very connected. So with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Mr. Florence.
On that parking across the street, will that be also fenced off, or?
That's right. Yes, it will be fenced off, and it will be for residents only.
Foster?
Controlled.
Parking question.
Yeah, I figured that.
No, I was surprised. I have had cause to be up in this neighborhood a few times, and I'm surprised at the congestion that has been mentioned to us here. And so I can understand that concern. But my question is, we've had some cases, and I'm thinking west of Rock Road and south of 21st Street, where that concern was great enough that a parking study was required. And, I'm about ready to suggest that. But I think it's something that you could handle pretty easily, given the background that you've already done and looked at all the different parking that's available. But, given that this is an intensifying area, at some point that's going to come home to roost. And so my question is, should this warrant looking at parking? And I'm not talking about ridiculously extensive study, but just kind of a cursory look at numbers and stuff like that. Would that be of benefit to the neighborhood?
As far as I know, WSU has done some very extensive parking studies, and I just I'd pause, but I think probably the parking dilemma would be a result of their students and the student population coming in and parking in the neighborhood. I don't think it's the residents and their single-family residents or multifamily residents that are causing the problem. I truly believe that. I've witnessed it. I've been in the community numerous times here, and so I don't know that study would be fruitful for our project. I mean, what you have in your staff report is effectively a parking study, because it shows what our mix and what our count's going to be. So I mean, I think we've got 4-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, and studios, and those are the kind of parking ratios we're looking for. And I think we're going to have probably leftover parking possibly on our site. So given our current trend.
Click.
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve per staff's recommendation.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Blick, a second by Mr. Green to approve, and a finger coming up by Mr. Richardson.
I'd like to offer a substitute motion, which would be to approve it, subject to approval at a parking ratio of 76% of what's required, which allows flexibility on how many units they have, instead of approving what the other motion does is simply approve 130 parking spaces. And we don't have a building permit. We don't know how many will be there. I think this allows the flexibility to approve it with a parking ratio of 76% of what would be required, and that's based on the number of bedrooms and unit sizes and that sort of thing that they have calculated for you on this. Their calculated need is 171 spaces. They have 131. That works out to 76% of the need. Thank you.
Okay, I have substitute motion by Mr. Richardson with the second by Mr. Joe Johnson.
I asked the applicant if that works for them.
They've got a thumbs up.
Madam Chair, can I chime in on a point?
Sure.
Number one, I want to apologize if I misled anybody. I was informed that the amendments regarding the ability to make adjustments was done at the time when the wireless plan was done. Now, the detail I cannot tell you, and that I got that information from Scott. And my only comment would be further to if we move forward, it's with the understanding that we have the ability to make this adjustment going forward with the rezoning. If we find out that's not true, we're going to have to go another path. But my understanding per Mr. Knable is we have the ability to do that now. And I just want to clarify that point going forward.
Yeah, he misspoke when he said it was part of the wireless plan. What he was trying to say was it occurred at the same time as the wireless plan was being considered.
I plead senior moment.
Mr. McKay.
Lowell's just amend the original rather than a separate motion.
Yeah, we could, no problem at all.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
It comes out of basically the same. He's using a percentage rather than a hard count.
Okay.
But allows
So, Mr.
flexibility.
Blick, are you willing to amend that motion? And Mr. Green?
Developer's happy, I'm happy.
Okay.
With regards to the parking.
All right, Mr. Foster?
And just to confirm, there can be no adjustment to that based upon what we approve.
It's a question I have. Will there,
Administrative adjustment?
yeah, is there an additional administrative adjustment available since we're already doing it now?
As far as I know, there's nothing that would prevent a subsequent adjustment if they needed it.
They could apply.
And I guess as part of your motion, you could say no adjustments are allowed. They would have to do a variance, but I don't know that you want to do that.
All right, other discussion? If not, we're voting on the substitute motion.
No. amended
No,
motion.
no, no.
amended
I'm sorry, we're
motion.
voting on the amended, see, I've lost control. We're voting on the amended motion. And, all in favor of the amended motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? All right, motion carries. What are we at? 12-0? Anything else that you gentlemen want to talk about today?
Yes, I'd like to.
Okay, motion is second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We